morning. It is a Monday edition of the program. Large Radio. I'm Glenny's Griffin. A lot to do today. Obviously, we'll discuss the weekend that was. Not a good weekend for your boy. Not at all. Down one with one to play. Not great. Not great. We'll talk about it. We will also catch up. It's been a tradition the last few years, and it just sort of it happened really on total accident a couple years ago. We had been intending to catch up with Trey Mancini after he won the World Series, and like one date didn't work for him, and then he suggested another date, and it didn't work for us, and then by pure luck, the date that we scheduled happened to be Mo Gaba's birthday, January 26th, and so then kind of something similar unfolded last year, where like we were going to catch up at the end of the year, and then we were like, well, let's just make it a thing. Let's just talk on Mo's birthday every year. So now Mo's birthday, of course, was yesterday, but we weren't here, so there's no reason why we shouldn't celebrate Mo's birthday for consecutive days, and Jeremy's joining us later, too. So we just make it one big, long, 4-day weekend. I remember we had talked, his mom, Sanzi, and Lynn, we had all kind of talked about maybe when Mo would turn 21, we all go to Vegas, and we do it up. And I was like, yeah, I'm down. Like, let's go. Mo would have been 19 yesterday. But, yeah, we'll catch up with Trey, talk to him about Mo, talk to him about him and where he's at. He's talked about wanting to come back and play, but obviously that's easier said than done, so we'll talk to Trey about all of that. Jeremy will join us a little bit later on. Also, what a wild game yesterday out in Bloomington, Indiana. Phew.
Never doubt.
Needed a cigarette afterwards. It was actually a really special day for me because my 9-year-old was really into it and was cuddled up with me on the couch, legitimately doing the whole thing.
Hearing you curse.
And he was reacting like crazy after every bucket, and we both simultaneously jumped off the couch when Rodney Rice hit the three. So we'll talk to Steve Lappas, former Villanova coach. He was on the call for CBS yesterday as Maryland did get a much-needed road win at Indiana. I'm writing about Maryland today for PressBoxOnline.com and what the significance of the last week could be. I mean, a week ago, there was a defining narrative surrounding this team that they couldn't win on the road. Kevin Willard couldn't win on the road. Well, okay, now they just got 2 really good wins on the road, and I get it. It's all context, right? Illinois was riddled by the flu. Indiana's not very good, but was a team that was directly competing with Maryland to stay in that top 5 of the Big Ten, despite the fact that, they're. But by the way they treat Mike Woodson, you would
think he's
correct. They can't win a game. Now I get it. I have no idea what he was doing in the final minute of that game, and that's where you come out of it saying if your criticism is directly towards Kevin Willard, well, Kevin Willard knew exactly what play to draw up out of a timeout down 3. With 1:14 left, where they needed a bucket and they needed a bucket quick, and he said, hey, you know that Renew guy? He's got 4 fouls. Hey, Julian, go right at him. Right at him. And they scored in 5 seconds out of the timeout. It was a brilliant play. And somehow, the thing that no team ever figures out, his team knew exactly who to foul. After Jacoby Gillespie scored in the final 40 seconds, they knew. And we'll bring it up. We could bring it up with Coach Lappas. When the broadcast was hey, you got to foul. And it seemed like they were wasting time. Instead, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. Get the ball into the hands of Trey Galloway, who's only a 65% free throw shooter. Misses the front end. Maryland wins. You got to give Kevin Willard a lot of credit. I get it. Not pretty how Maryland squandered a 10-point lead. Not pretty, but everything was crumbling and kept the house together. And Maryland gets a big win on the road. So we'll talk about it with Steve Lappas. All on the way. And I am writing about it because I really do. I don't know what this – if this was the week where Maryland figured it out. Because to be fair, they weren't a bad road team. The results in the end just didn't go their way. But they won 4 road games that they played were all into the final couple of possessions, including at Purdue and Oregon, 2 good teams. Yes, Northwestern, not so much. Washington, not so much. But all of those were games. They didn't go get their butt kicked in any of those games. So if this last week was them learning how to get over the hump, what it takes to not vomit all over yourselves when you're on the road in a crazy atmosphere, things aren't going your way, if that's what the last week has taught them, they're the number 19 ranked team in the net. They win at home against Wisconsin, and I get that's a very difficult game. Wisconsin treated Nebraska a little bit differently than Maryland treated Nebraska, by the way. Wisconsin yesterday thrashed Nebraska. Maryland survived. But if you pull that off, and you're going to have the students back, you're going to have an actual atmosphere for that game, unlike the last couple of home games where it's been more. Well, the UCLA game was not that, but like the Minnesota, and the Nebraska games where, like, yikes, could have played this game at the Towson Center. Unlike those games, you're going to have
empty. Yeah,
you're going to have a crazy atmosphere on Wednesday. And you win that game, and all of a sudden that conversation about being a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament is right back to life, right back into the picture. I'll write about all that today at PressBoxOnline.com. What a difference a week makes. I mean, it really, like, we don't want to overreact to it because, again, you want to, Illinois was without their top big man, and so Maryland was able, like, you want to say all those things. But at the same time, they got the job done on the road. And that thing that we kept harping on, can't win on the road, well, they're winning on the road. And if they've learned, and if they're going to be better for it the next time they go on the road, which isn't for another 10 days, they play Ohio State on the road, I believe, 1 week from Wednesday. They're off next weekend, which is odd.
It is odd.
There's no football to watch. No. Cool.
Well, need a bye week at some point, I guess.
Guess we'll just, I don't know, learn something about our wives. So what are you all about, huh? What do you do? Where'd you come from?
So there's nothing on. Yeah, I guess there's nothing. Nothing this weekend.
The Grammys, I think, are this weekend.
Yeah, the Grammys are this weekend, but
I'll watch those.
That's Sunday night.
Yeah, not a whole lot to say before that. I mean, there's other lacrosse season starts on Saturday.
Oh, okay, so that's why.
You can go out. Yeah, they wanted to make room.
Maryland's a lacrosse school, and they needed.
All right. So as far as the football yesterday, I don't know what to say. I'll go over a few things that people are losing their minds about. The AFC Championship game probably went exactly how you could have assumed the AFC Championship game was going to go, with the only caveat being Josh Allen played a lot worse than I expected him to play. And it's getting covered up. Like the pure numbers will make it look like Josh Allen was great, and you can do the, oh, poor Josh Allen, Dalton Kincaid could have caught that ball, and people are going to blame. No, Josh Allen was bad yesterday. Josh Allen did everything in his power to go back to the old guy. The guy that, for all of his talent, constantly wants to give the ball to the other team. And Josh Allen should have had, in a fair world, like where all things are equal, 3 turnovers yesterday. Could have had 6 or 7. Should have had, because again, I get it. Not every play where you could be picked off, where a ball hits somebody in the hands, where you fumble the ball. I understand it's unreasonable to assume that all of them are going to become turnovers, right? Like everybody has a couple of those. Josh Allen didn't have a couple. He had an overwhelming number. There's a reason why the data, the analytics are much more critical of Josh Allen yesterday than just looking at the pure numbers would make you think. His XQBR was dreadful. His EPA was awful. He was not good. But yet, the Chiefs, that thing that everybody kept saying were they're vulnerable, the Chiefs really had no interest in taking advantage of it. They were doing the Ravens bit against Jameis Winston earlier this season where they're just what if we just kept you in the game? What if we just maybe pitied you and let you win? And for quite a bit, they gave that opportunity. But the moment you are in a close game against the Kansas City Chiefs and the Like, you just know how this is ending. And they actually they conspired way more than they ever conspire. That they didn't finish that drive with a touchdown. That what's-his-face, multiple players. Because then Isaiah Pacheco did it again on the final drive of the game. 2 different Chiefs players screwed up and went out of bounds in the final 5 minutes of the game. When the last thing they wanted to do was leave anything on the clock. The Chiefs, the team that never gets these things wrong, that when they got the ball back with, what was it, 6.5 minutes, something like that, or 6 minutes?
When they kicked the field goal?
After the Bills tied the game.
At 29. Yeah, they got the ball back.
They got the ball back with
6 minutes. Yeah,
6 minutes left.
6:15.
And all of us had the exact same thought. They are going to figure out a way to have the Bills take all 3 of their timeouts, matriculate the ball down the field, and kick a field goal with 3 seconds left in the game. And the Bills are never seeing the ball. The moment they kick the field goal, we all had the exact same thought. It's finally happening. Someone's finally going to do it. The Chiefs didn't finish the job. They didn't dictate the game on their terms. They left it for the Bills to take. Holy crap. As poorly as Josh Allen played, he was going to win and exercise the demons. And look, you can spare me the 4th down thing. Do I think that Josh Allen, did that ball touch the yard again? I think it did. But there was no chance in hell that it was ever going to be overturned, because no matter how much we all believe that ball was there is no camera angle that shows the ball is there. We're just pretty sure that's how it works. Chris Jones' helmet gets in the way. There was nothing that was going to overturn it. And we all scream, and we just lose our minds about it. You want to scream about something, scream about the fact that the NFL still uses this as their system for line to gain. That's what you scream about. Because this is what you get. Officials guessing. Like that. You have accepted this. If you accept this sport. It's the same as balls and strikes in baseball. We just agree to it. Like, we agree to put up with it. I'm half convinced that it's like it's like baseball. The officials' union is so strong that, like, any time somebody brings up the idea of, like, putting a chip in the football so that, like, we know, they're just like, It's really important that our guys guess where the ball might have been. It's really important. You know how many calls are off by inches?
More than inches.
I mean, like, it happens. It's part of the game. If you watch football, you have to accept that. And the notion that this one was particularly egregious, like, is not itself. We want it to be because we're sick of the Chiefs. So we want it to be that the Bills got screwed there. We're pretending like Josh Allen had the ball a yard past the line of scrimmage. He didn't. He probably had it, the nose, right at the line of scrimmage. What was it, Gene Steratore said? I think that he's got it by a third of the football. I think he's got it by a third of the football. This is a controversy. The thing on the pass late in the first half, the Xavier Worthy thing. It's, again, because we don't like the Chiefs, the sport's rigged. When in reality, there's not one of us that knows if that was a catch, an interception, or incomplete. None of us. Not one. Which is kind of why it was comical that the Bills tried challenging, although to their credit, they didn't need the timeout as they went back down and scored a touchdown. But, like, it's pretty comical they tried challenging that because no one knows what a catch is. No one. Although, to be fair, that was the one where Gene Steratore actually explained, like,
this is gonna be. He got it right?
Yeah, he got that one right.
Yeah.
Like yes, the ball hits the ground, but you don't see any movement that suggests that the ground changes the
possession.
Whatever you want to say of the like there is possession. You can have possession and have the ball hit the ground if you've got control of the ball. Now, again, who had control of the ball? Which one of those players had control of the ball? I have no idea. No idea. Couldn't tell you. And you can't, and no one in Buffalo can, and no one in Kansas City can, and no one at all. Although I am to understand that in those situations, if it's deemed simultaneous possession, then it's the offensive player that gets the possession. That's the way the rule is written.
Tie goes to the runner.
Kind of. Tie goes I mean, you wouldn't believe it. There's a rule that's written in the NFL for offensive players. You'll never believe it. The Bills had everything they could want. Like whining and bitching about these two extraordinarily close calls. One which I think they did get. I think they got the Xavier Worthy one right, but that's more just me guessing. Like I think they got it right. The other one that I think they got wrong, but again by like a millionth, a millimeter is what we're talking about. We think it might be wrong, and I absolutely saw nothing in replay that would make me say, yeah, they got to overturn that. Nothing. I mean, we've watched this sport long enough. The burden that has to be to overcome a challenge on a spot. It's why we piss and moan whenever a coach ever challenges a spot. We're like, dude, have you watch football, right? You know you don't get these. Like you understand that's not how this works. I'm sick of the Chiefs too, man. Like I'm sick of it. But they win. They brought the blitz. They went and got 2 more first downs to ice the game away when the Bills still could have gotten one more chance. They won the game when the game needed to be won. They went down and scored offensively. They got to stop defensively against Josh Allen. And, yeah, Dalton Kincaid could have made a miracle catch. I mean, we're pretending. Like, trying to compare it to and I'm not trying to pile on Mark Andrews, but trying to compare it to the Mark Andrews thing is, dude, it was a miracle that he had a chance at that ball. Now, I get it. Once he got there, yes, it was there, and you feel like the play could have or should have been made. But it was a miracle they were trying to pull off. The Chiefs won. They did. That's what they do. I don't know why we're surprised by it. That's who they are. I don't know why we convince ourselves of these things. I love our friend Jeff Chidia. That's my guy. But like when we went into the playoffs and he was trying to convince me of how vulnerable the Chiefs are, I'm just like, dude, and he lives in Kansas City. It's hilarious. I love Jeff. But like, dude, no. You cannot convince me of that in any world. And here we are again. And I assume that's who Proctor is going to take in our Super Bowl picks, and so I'm going to have to take stupid Philadelphia. Imagine your fate.
Is this you trying to...
The fate of your... No, I'm not.
Trying to psych him out now?
I'm not. I don't know why anyone would ever pick against the Chiefs. Why? I'm not announcing.
I guess you're right. Because all he has to do is get the pick right. He gets it right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have to try to figure out what I want to do and then pick again. That would be insane. He just needs to pick who he thinks going to win or cover, I guess, because it's like 1.5 points, right? That's what it's going to come down to for you, boy. Picks. We can talk about Philadelphia, Washington a little bit later. There's not really a whole lot to be said. That one not nearly as enthralling, obviously, as the AFC Championship game proved to be. Sucks, man. It sucks. But I, to be fair, as I said to a bunch of people, I sure as hell wasn't rooting for the Bills either. You can't go through all that and suddenly be like, yeah, man, I really hope they win. Like if you're a fan of like the Browns, I can understand why you were rooting for the Bills. If you're a fan of but like the idea that you're engaging all week, and there's all this debate about it, and then suddenly you're just like, yeah, I'm really rooting for those guys. Like, it's not gonna happen. It's just not. Good for the Chiefs. I can't even, good for them. Great, they get the win again. Awesome, spectacular, hooray! God, do this again. Kansas City, Philadelphia, unique, fun, super interesting Super Bowl matchup. Tell everybody about what's going on at the CIAA tournament, please, Griffin.
Absolutely. Baltimore is welcoming the excitement of the Food Line CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament once again to CFG Bank Arena this year from February 25th through March 1st. Tickets are available, and you can get them now at Ticketmaster.com. Again, go to Ticketmaster.com for your tickets to the Food Line CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament at CFG Bank Arena February 25th through March 1st.
All right. We've made this a tradition. It happened a couple years ago by accident, and now I like doing it every year. And while Mo Gaba's birthday was actually yesterday, of course, we weren't here, so today is a good day to do this. It's always a pleasure to welcome back in our former Mo Gaba Sports Person of the Year here at Press Box. He is Trey Mancini, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Trey, it's Glenn. It's always good to talk to you. Happy Mo's birthday to you. Thank you, as always, taking the time for us this morning, pal.
Same goes to you as well, Glenn. Yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely, buddy. Trey, I have this conversation with Jeremy and a lot of people that those of us that got to meet and know Mo, kind of have this like responsibility and obligation to continue telling his story, because as time goes by, there are going to be people that look down and see Mo in the end zone and sort of say, why do you guys keep talking? Who is this guy? Because it's the nature of time. So as many times as you've told your story, I wonder if you would just tell it one more time, because you never know when there's a new audience that doesn't understand why guys like you and me care about this young man so deeply.
Oh, yeah, of course. So in Baltimore, toward the end of my rookie year in 2017, one of our PR staff members came up to me and told me that we had a huge fan that called into the local radio show a lot and was a huge Ravens and Orioles fan, kind of for what he thought the team should be doing and stuff, and that he had been dealing with a lot of different health issues. So fast forward about 6 months, I finally got to meet Mo. I believe it was opening day 2018 was the first time I met him. And immediately I just couldn't believe how positive and incredible, and I always say this, wise beyond his years he was. And I felt like I was talking to a peer in so many ways. He was just such a special kid, and was just so kind, and in the midst of everything he was going through, was always just so positive and a joy to be around. So I got to hang with him a lot in the subsequent years, especially in 2018. I always tell this part of the story too. I had a rough first half in 2018,
Yep.
and over the All-Star break, I stayed up in Baltimore just to hang out with Mo and Sanzi, his mother, and we went to Dave & Buster's all day and just hung out, and it just flipped something in me and was so, I don't know, it was just such a cool day getting to hang with him and I guess get some perspective. I wasn't in the best place and was really in my own head about struggling and everything like that. After that day, I thought about Mo basically every day, especially the rest of that year. It's just such a powerful day that it helped me turn around and have a great second half and led into a great 2019 for me. I really think that day is what propelled all that. And it's just as Mo, like I said, in the midst of everything he was going through, was just always so positive and saw the good in every day, rather than kind of dwelling on the trials and tribulations that he was going through. So it really flipped my perspective on life. And we developed that relationship, especially when I got diagnosed with cancer in 2020, and even furthered our bond. And we hung out some more until he passed. And he's somebody that I think about so often. Every time I see the Ravens game, I see the MO in the end zone. I can't help but smile. It's just so cool that he's a Baltimore legend. And for all the right reasons too. So he's one of the most special people we've seen in the city.
And he had the kindness in his heart to shine the sun in right field back in 2022.
He did indeed.
Sure did.
He did indeed.
Trey, you bring that up, and I
Yeah.
wonder how much. I'll tell you, it happens for me. Sanzi was really kind, and after Mo passed, we were over at her house one day, and she gave my sons like a handful of Mo's things, and like they have them on display in their rooms, and when we walk in. I tell you, Mo had an autographed Mark Andrews helmet, and Sanzi gave it to my older son. And whenever
Wow.
of course it would be. We're talking about Mark Andrews after. Whenever Mark Andrews would catch a touchdown this season, my son would talk about Mo, and Mo gave me his helmet, and he would talk about that impact, and then we would have a conversation about how they needed to change their attitude because think about how Mo would act. I wonder. How much it comes up on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, you bring up your health things, and I know baseball hasn't gone the way that you've wanted it to go. How much on a day-to-day basis do you find yourself saying, all right, I've got to channel my inner Mo. I've got to make today a win because that's what Mo would do even though things aren't going my way.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you have to do. And I learned that mostly through Mo, but also through everything I went through. A lot of things are put into perspective, and obviously you still have the same goals and want to succeed, but you do have to find the wins and the positives even on some really bad days. So it's the best way to go through life.
It is it's impossible, right? I always when I talk about it, Trey, I'm like, you don't understand, this kid was the greatest human that ever lived. You don't understand. He was a literally impossible human being. No one can be this perfect. No one can understand that way. And I try to explain it to people, and I'm still not sure that I can fully convey how impossible this young man was.
Yeah, exactly. He was just truly good in every way. Is the best way to describe him.
Yeah, it's insane,
Yeah.
man. It's utterly insane.
And yeah, like you said, it just puts everything in perspective. And you got to catch yourself sometimes. This last week, for example, I've been absolutely moping around after Notre Dame lost in the national championship game, and then I'm like, snap out of it. There's bigger fish to fry. But yeah, let yourself be sad for a little, but then you got to snap out of it.
Right? It's a football game. Trey Mancini is with us. I was gonna bring it up, but I was gonna wait. I was gonna let us talk about it.
I'm glad I got ahead of it. Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's a bummer. I understand, right? Do you have any ounce of hey, this was still a really great season, and
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, what the team was able to do, especially in the midst of the countless injuries they had, and the early loss to NIU, which was pretty devastating at the time.
Yeah.
The fact they were able to turn it around and do what they did this year, it was by far the most fun special year of Notre Dame football. Since they won the national championship last in '88. So it was fun. It was a great season.
I wonder for you, do you have anybody, because there was such a conversation. I brought it up a couple times. Marcus Freeman makes it tough to hate Notre Dame. He's just so likable. He's such a smart guy. He says all the right things. And I will acknowledge, Trey, like a lot of people, I'm a Notre Dame hater. That's the way you know how this goes. Either you love him or you hate him. That's the way it works. Did you have anyone in your life that was a Notre Dame hater that you found in the weeks leading up to it was suddenly rooting for them?
Yeah, countless people, I think, just because of Freeman and a lot of the guys on the team, they just had a certain vibe and the way they carried themselves this year. A lot of people couldn't help but like them. So I think that was our biggest win of the year, was kind of shaking the Notre Dame hate from a lot of people, I guess.
All right, understand. It will be, if they keep winning, it's going to be right back. We're all going to bring it right back.
I hope it is. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, obviously that's kind of what you want.
That's the way
you want. A lot of people to not like you because it means you're doing things, well.
That is true. That is true for sure. Trey, have you harassed Adam at all about him falling off the Hall of Fame ballot? How embarrassing, right? He only got 3 votes. My God, right? Shameful, really.
he should have gotten more.
By the way, it's funny you say that because you see some people who have gotten more votes, and you're like, okay, I know, and Adam will be the first to tell you he's not a Hall of Famer, but like if that guy got more votes, then Adam definitely should have gotten more votes.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm making it on the ballot is just an absolute honor in itself. It's really hard to do. So it's a testament to his career and what he was able to do over a long period of time.
So where you at, man? I know you said in the fall you still want to play. Are you at a place where walk me through it.
Yeah, so I've been hitting, working out, hoping that a spring invite happens. So we'll see. It's possible in the next few weeks, but it's also possible it doesn't happen. So whatever happens, I've put the work in. I'm ready to go. But if not, then it's okay too. Like I understand I haven't played since last spring training in a game, so I understand that. And hoping something happens. But if not, I'll be all right.
So I was going to say, do you have to make peace with that? Like the idea that this might be, do you have to go through those conversations or
Yeah, definitely. And I already did like last year, a lot of the year, I thought I was going to be done. Okay. I was at peace, but there was a part of me that knew I could still play if given the chance. So I thought I owed it to myself to go work out. I'm going to be working out anyway, and I love hitting, everything like that. So put the work in, and you never know what can happen. So that's what I did, and I wanted to have no regrets. So even doing that was big in itself. But yeah, hoping something happens here in the next few weeks, but we'll see.
Not wanting to make it like too big, but like, do you have a sense yourself of like maybe what has gone wrong in a couple like here's why it didn't click with Miami, or like, do you have a sense of that internally, or is that still like infuriating to you? Like I don't know how this works for an athlete where like, do you know yourself so well to know, or you're like, hey dude, I did everything right. Like the process was right. My approach was right. I just wasn't getting the results that I should have.
Oh yeah, with Miami, I mean, it was spring training, so it's always tough to, I guess make a team if you're a non-roster invite. And I just got off to too slow of a start last spring, but like the process, everything was great, and I finished really strong. It wasn't enough to make the team, so. And at that point, like, I just didn't get another job offer after that. So, yeah, like that happens sometimes. And, overall, it was just, from, I guess, the end of 22 and 23, I didn't play well. Like, that's it happens sometimes. It's very unfortunate, but, that's part of being an athlete. So, no, it's something I think about on a daily basis, and I'm doing great, but of course I'd like another chance if given the opportunity.
I know, I get that. Do you think about what's next after baseball, or can you not do that because like you're so focused on baseball that you can't, like build in like a backup plan? Like this has got to work. I'm not going to start thinking about that.
Yeah, I definitely did, especially like I said, last year I thought I was done and, was going to move on. And as fun as last year was, being off, I honestly just played a ton of tennis and pickleball. I'm going to turn 33 soon. I don't want to do that every day.
Wait a second. I was going to say that you're young enough. You could probably still get on like the pro pickleball tour, though. Wait a second.
I just don't know if I want to be like a competitive pickleball player. Like I love playing with my friends, but it gets to a certain level where I don't think I'm going to be going to pickleball tournaments or anything. But
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I definitely want to do something, and whether that's public speaking, whether it's broadcasting, doing something else, I definitely want to do something. And I thought a lot about it. I thought a lot about it last year, but I put it on the back burner a little bit the last couple months just because I've been hitting and mentally preparing like I'm going to get a job and go back in and play baseball. So that's where my head's at now. But if it doesn't work out, then I'll be able to pivot pretty quickly because it's something I've been thinking about already too.
I was just gonna throw it out there. What about like hitting coach at Navy? What about that? Is there any chance?
I'd love to work with Ristano, my guy, but I don't know if I've got coaching in my future, honestly, especially at the college level. I feel like recruiting
it's a job,
is very stressful and just not, like I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, right? It's not quite pickleball. It's not quite. Although,
no,
what is it? By the way,
something like it. I need something in between those two.
What is it about pickleball that we keep seeing like all these videos of fights? Like I played a lot of tennis in my life.
Yeah,
I've never. What is it about pickleball that like brings out like the insanity in people?
I guess, people need an outlet, and I guess that's some people's to get the anger out. But yeah, it's crazy. I've seen a lot of insane fights, and yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't want to go on the pickleball tour because I feel like that's what happens all the time. It's nuts.
It's crazy, man. All right, I run this one by you only because it was news today. So I brought up Adam. He just took like a kind of half former role with the Orioles as a community ambassador. I wonder, like, whenever it's over, your relationship with this city, with this franchise, would something like that, being involved in some way, would that be something that would interest you at all?
Oh yeah, it would definitely interest me, and I think no matter what would happen from here on out, I'll always be most well known as an Oriole.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'd like to, stay around and have a relationship with the organization, which I have no doubt will happen, of course. And like Baltimore is always a piece of me and my home in a big way. So yeah, it's definitely something I would love.
We would like to make that happen. Like it's so funny how like these things don't really mean anything at all. Like, and I know when we text Adam about it, he's gonna be like, "Oh man, it's nothing." But like it means everything to fans to see their favorite players still be involved with the organization. Like it just means the world to them. So that would be really cool. All right, buddy.
It would be awesome.
Is there anything else that we can plug for you? Is there anything else that we can talk up that you have going on, or just tell people to have it be a better person today? Anything like that?
Keep being great people. And as far as the plug goes, my wife Sarah is she's about to launch her shoe company called IVs.
Oh.
And it's a really great product. They're really comfortable. It's a white, like, everyday sneaker. Think like kind of Common Project-esque, but at a much better price point. So she'll be launching that soon. So be on the lookout for that.
What's the name of it? They're called IVs. Is that what you said?
IVs, IVEES, but a Roman numeral 4 is the logo.
Okay, very cool, man. Tell her congratulations, by the way.
Yeah.
We love
we'll
Sarah.
do.
She's
awesome. She's been working hard for a couple years on it. So it's amazing. It's about to finally launch.
I just see on Instagram Wear IVs, Wear IVES.
Yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. Yep. Congratulations, Sarah. That's so cool. Trey, I love you, brother. Always appreciate you doing this.
Love you too, man.
Let's make plans.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. Appreciate you, buddy. We'll talk soon, all right?
Yeah, all right. Can't wait. See you, man.
Trey Mancini. Love that guy. And, yeah, just enjoy doing that every year and thinking about Mo and trying to continue to let everybody know his story and why it matters so much. And, yeah, if you missed it this morning, the Orioles did announce that Adam Jones will have a role with the team moving forward, and what the title is special advisor to the GM and community ambassador. And that doesn't mean that Adam Jones is going to be picking players or
he'll be negotiating deals.
Yeah, that's not the way that it's going to work. But from a couple years ago, where we remember Adam's frustration about not feeling like he was welcome, not feeling like the team wanted him around, it feels really good the way that things have gone from there. And that he was able to come back and have the moment being recognized on the field, and that he will have a title and be a part of the Orioles organization in whatever capacity, as simple as likely when he's home making appearances, hopping on a broadcast, things like that. It means little tangibly. Tangibly, it means little. But it means everything to fans, and I do know that it means something to these guys. It does. To feel like you have a home. To feel like, hey, when I want to be there, I'm welcome there. That they do value my input. There undoubtedly will be a, hey, call Adam about that. See what he thinks about this topic. That'll come up. He won't be in the office. He won't be,
Or when he calls in, he's going to say, actually, yeah, I'm saying to Michael Elias is right every day.
Right.
And
Right. That's not the case. But it matters. Like, it's just little things that you want to see an organization do. Does it matter the same as Corbin Burns? No. No, it does not. And we cannot pretend that it does. But it matters in some capacity. And you're happy to see it. It's a good thing. It feels good. All right, when we come back in, we will spend a little bit of time on the NFC Championship game. It was a thing that occurred, and we'll update.
Man, betting Saquon Barkley 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That hit in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah,
That
does feel good, I guess.
Pretty good.
Does feel good. Yikes. We'll talk about that, and then Steve Lappas will join us talk a little Maryland basketball. That's on the way as we continue along on a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasinn.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
COVID-19 and flu viruses are circulating in Maryland. But don't worry, protection is within arm's reach. Protect your health with this year's COVID-19 and flu shots. It's safe and convenient to get them both at the same time. Flex your protection. For more information, visit health.maryland.gov/vaccines.
This message paid for by the Maryland Department of Health.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR's Continue Along on a Monday edition of the program. Today's show also brought to you by County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone is the website. It's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Everything you need to know as we move towards the postseason in high school basketball. Yeah, it happens quickly. All of a sudden you wake up and you're like, oh, man, maybe winter will end at some point. Somebody sent out a tweet yesterday that was like, Happy January 72nd. And I was like, oh, I feel that in my bones. God, do I feel that. But, yeah, we will move this month into the postseason. No, it's not February yet. Sorry. Next week
What are you doing?
is February. I'm telling you, because there's 72 days in January. In the next couple of weeks, we will be moving into the postseason in basketball at the high school level. So find out everything you need to know. Scores, schedules, updates, rankings, all of that. CountySports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. All right, yeah, we talked about the AFC Championship game, and as far as picks are concerned, there was nothing to be played for at the top of the table. James Revere is the winner. Paul Valley, by virtue of picking the games the same way I did, he got out of the contention at the bottom of the table. So all that was left was between John Proctor and I, and John Proctor and I both picked Kansas City. So we both got that point. But nobody told me the Commanders wanted to turn the ball over 77 times. And I thought I needed to dance with the girl that got me there. So I went with the Commanders, and now I am a game down with 1 to play. So I have to figure out how. It doesn't matter to me who I think is going to win the Super Bowl. I just have to bet the opposite of what I think Proctor is going to do, because it's my only hope. As far as the NFC Championship game is concerned.
So you're going to study all his recent Chiefs picks?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not. As I said to you last week, I'm not going to attempt to get into John Proctor's head. Because Proctor,
he's got a good head, I think.
Proctor can do the bit where he's like, well, here's what he's thinking, I'm thinking, he's thinking. No, I'm telling you, I think the most likely scenario is that Proctor's taking the Chiefs. And so I will probably be taking the Eagles. But, I mean, let's see. It's 2 weeks from now. We got to let it all play out. Maybe somebody gets hurt between now and then. It changes things. I don't know. Maybe the line goes crazy. All of a sudden there's a bunch of money on the Eagles. And, I don't know. Or the line, there's a bunch of money on the Chiefs, and the line goes up, and there's enough points in play that, you got to think about the Eagles. I'm not giving anything away. There's nothing to say about the NFC Championship game. It's like every other playoff game this year for the most part. You turn the ball over a bunch of times, you're going to get this. Apparently, a bunch of Eagles fans found that I had tweeted last week that the Commanders were indisputably better at quarterback than the Eagles were, and so they were all up in my ass yesterday.
How dare you?
Nothing, and I had no problem with most of it, except for the people that are like, "Oh yeah, how's Jaden Daniels now?" And I'm like, "Did you watch the game?"
He was about the only guy that didn't.
What are we doing here?
Give the ball away on.
Yeah, we're just saying things to say them. Jaden Daniels was great because Jaden Daniels is great and is the best quarterback of the NFC. Now, to Jalen Hurts' credit, he's had a good postseason. He has. They're doing a wacky bit where they're trying to pretend like my criticism of Jalen Hurts is not real. Where I say Jalen Hurts has this tendency of just making inexplicably bad throws. Other people have incomplete. It was oh, look at his completion percentage. I'm like, right, because they
run the ball a lot.
Correct. And they make by the way, that's smart. This is not a knock on the Eagles. I'm not knocking the Eagles in any way. We all know they built an insanely good roster. The one thing that seemed like it could get in the way is Jalen Hurts making these inexplicable throws. These what am I watching types of throws. So twofold, if there's some world where Jalen Hurts is getting that out of his system, that would go a long way. But to the point, they have attempted to build a team, one in a conference they really didn't have a lot of There was one team that was really a threat to the Eagles. It was the Detroit Lions. And when they lost all their defensive players, that kind of ended that. The NFC is mid. It's just what it is. Nothing that the Eagles have done in the postseason has made me say, oh, man, I'm wrong about them. They're incredible. The best thing I saw the Eagles do all year was come to Baltimore and win. That, to me, was their statement. And if you're an Eagles fan, it's why you would believe that you have a chance to go beat the Chiefs. They are loaded. They are. We all know that. And you do have to give that. That graphic that they put up yesterday about, all of the pieces that they added, Saquon Barkley, Zach Bond, Cooper DeJohn, they had a crazy offseason. They had a great draft. They got Saquon Barkley. Again,
running backs are back.
Much like, we discussed in Baltimore all year long. Like, it is really crazy that the bad teams were like, no, we don't need these good players. And the good teams were like, right, well, we'd be happy to have them. I'll never understand it in a million years, but it's exactly how the offseason went. And when, it's so funny to me when the baseball weirdos, who want to fight about baseball fans screaming about the lack of parity in the sport are like, well, there's been more World Series winners than there have been Super Bowl winners. Yes, except that everyone knows that it was a fair fight. Like, we're mad that the Chiefs fair fight, fair-ish, because we're still going to do the officials bit. But we're mad that the Chiefs keep winning, but we understand. They're just better.
They have the best player.
That's
in
it.
the history of the game.
That's it. That's the story. It's not they spent all the money on all the players. It's they're better. It sucks. I hate it. But all I can do is tip my cap. That's it. I can't say anything else. All these other teams had their fair chance. The discrepancy in football is incompetence. It's not, monetary. It's that a handful of organizations will never be able to get out of their own way. There's an octogenarian who's not capable of, preventing his own players from being blinded by the sun, that they just keep letting make all of the decisions because he gets to run the team because they're a Mickey Mouse organization.
Well, maybe Brian Schottenheimer will hang curtains, Maybe that's
so sure that Brian Schottenheimer will have power to overrule Jerry Jones. I'm so sure.
Well, Jerry sees
that's
like a son
the reason why
sure
Jerry Jones hired Brian Schottenheimer is because he wanted to cede the power to a coach. So he went with the one that no one else wanted.
Was he interviewed anywhere else?
It's not even his name hasn't even come up.
Well, it came up in Dallas.
Yes, correct. Credit to the Eagles. They put together a damn good football team. And they're the best chance of a non-top 5 quarterback winning a Super Bowl at this point. I mean, I don't know where Matt Stafford was to say whether or not he was a top 5 when he won, but we've lived in an era where it's been extraordinarily difficult for quarterbacks who weren't definitively at or near the top of the league to have a chance to break through. And I'm not trying to pretend like Jalen Hurts is,
Kirk Cousins.
I don't know who's been the better NFL quarterback. Honestly, I don't. That's a fair. I'm not trying to pretend like he's Andy Dalton. I'm not trying to pretend like he's a fringe starter in the NFL. He's a qualified starting NFL quarterback and an arguable top 10 NFL quarterback. I don't really know. I don't have any interest in doing this exercise off the top of my head. The 4 are obvious. I think Jaden Daniels is 5, but I'd listen to the argument for Justin Herbert being 5. But after you get past those 6, I don't know how easy it would be to definitively argue that somebody else was better. Can you still argue for sure that Trevor Lawrence is better? A year ago, we would have said C.J. Stroud is, but we're not going to say that today. I can't say Brock Purdy or Jordan Love is definitively better. I think I'd rather have Jordan Love big picture than Jalen Hurts, but I can't say definitively today that he's better.
But can Jordan Love tush push like
That's
Jalen
a great
Hurts?
point. I think right now, if you wanted to say that you can start the conversation at 7, and recency bias would obviously have something to do with that. Okay. But even that is a little bit lower than what we've typically. And part of that is because Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady have won so many of the Super Bowls. They've kind of sucked the air out of the room. But it's been hard. It's been hard for, I guess, Peyton Manning was the last non-good quarterback to win a Super Bowl. That really is the reality of it. But Jalen Hurts, and that's the wrong way of saying it. Cause
what about Nick Foles? I guess he's a good.
No. That's you're right. Nick Foles would be the answer.
But like, even is it like?
But Jalen Hurts
like,
is better. It's when I say that, it's disrespectful
where
to
it's like,
Jalen Hurts.
and
Jalen Hurts is a
Foles,
top 10 quarterback in the NFL, no matter what. He's a top 10 quarterback. There's a separation between the best quarterbacks and Jalen Hurts. But to be fair, there's a separation between the best quarterbacks.
He's a definitive tier 2.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's a definitive tier 2. If we're saying that there is,
I guess okay.
Like
yeah,
Mahomes
okay,
is
tier 1.
Is tier 1, and then there's 3 other guys. They're really tier 2, and then everybody else is really tier 3.
He's tier.
That's
He's
kind
definitively
of
tier 2B.
Right? Yeah, whatever you want to call it. Or if we say 1A and 1B, then he could be tier 2.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say. Man, they put a hell of a team together. They did. They put an unbelievable football team together, and they will have a chance because of it. Like I think they have a chance in this game. I just, it's Patrick Mahomes on the other side. So like,
he's lost.
I think we know who's gonna win. But
lost to Tom Brady.
Yeah,
and
that Joe Burrow
Joe Burrow that one time. Yeah,
he did lose. That's the list. That's it. That's. Good luck.
So is that the best thing that came from the NFC Championship game? Was the Commanders trying to stop the tush push on the goal line?
Yeah, I mean it was funny and learning. What was the phrase? Award the score. Like that's a funny phrase. That I feel like it's sort of like stop the count. Like I feel like there'll be a point at which on Twitter we can come up with a reason to say award the score. But if we want to turn it into a requiem again for the tush. We always we're so boring. This is proof that you got to ban the tush. Is it, or is it proof that you don't let a team get
to 1 yard? Yeah, one to go.
It's just so embarrassing to me that the answer is this team's too good at something, so we have to get rid of it. You want to be angry at something? Be angry that your own team isn't that good at it, or that they're not. The Eagles basically on that sequence were doing the thing that the Ravens could have done last week in Buffalo, where they had 1st and goal from the 2, and they could have just said, we're not doing anything that involves risk of losing yards. We got 4 plays. We're lining up Mark Andrews under center on 4 plays, and we're pretty confident we're going to get a touchdown out of it.
John and Little Rock did check in earlier, too, and he was saying he still can't believe the Bills jacked up the game, and it's inexcusable to not use the tush push. Which I mean, yeah. I don't why are they? Why is there even a scenario where Josh Allen can pitch the ball backwards, and why is he diving over the pile?
Well, in fairness,
to try to fumble?
The Chiefs did a really good job at the line of scrimmage.
That also true.
They did do a really good job at the line of scrimmage. They did as good of a job at the line of scrimmage as anybody's done. But yes, I'm with you. We scream about this thing and we say we got to get rid of this thing instead of just saying we got to get good at this thing. We got to be better at it. We have to be able to convert in every situation and be boring and make teams feel like they've got to try to time it and send Mike Sainristil leaping over the line of scrimmage and have people chuckle at us and learn about deep in the playbook or deep in the rule book rules. I got nothing for you on banning the tush push. I don't. I don't know why we're mad about it. I really don't. I saw somebody last night, and maybe it was Kurt Benkert, the brief former quarterback who's become very popular with his videos, guy from Perry Hall.
Perry Hall.
Maybe it was Kurt that was like, we got to look at the formation on the tush push and figure out if it's really a legal formation. And I don't know enough about – I didn't watch his content and know what he was saying. And if there's something to that, then let's have a conversation about whether or not the tush push is legitimately a legal formation. We can talk about that. But just banning it because it's so successful, it's embarrassing, man. Go do it. Go. It's like us screaming about Bill Belichick instead of just trying to beat him. Well, he takes advantage of these rules with the clock and knows. Okay, so you learn how to do it. And if your team is leading and you have a chance to to burn clock away by taking, then do it. Force them to. I mean, some of those are loopholes that they fixed in the rules. But just go beat him.
He said it's a illegal formation by the O-line compared to where they typically align.
But how so?
He didn't go further.
Yeah, that's the problem. I saw him talking about. I'm like, okay, if there is, then let's talk about it. But it just really comes off like they're good at it. So stop it. And it's embarrassing. Get better at it. Don't let them get in second and short. Once they're in second and short, you're screwed. The Bills have done a really good job at that in the last couple of weeks, of like getting themselves into third and short so that they felt like, well, we've got 2 plays and Josh Allen, and we're going to get it. Turns out, not the case. And insane that they let Josh Allen leap over the pile like that in the middle of the field. Like with the ball just sticking out that way. Just nuts that was a... And they got away with it because they recovered the fumble, but an insane call. I understand that like your playoff life is on the line and all that, but that is bonkers that they did that in that game. All right. We'll put football to bed for a minute. We'll get back to it, I promise. But yesterday, what a wild day. I said I got to sit down with my 9-year-old. We watched this game together, every play, screaming, losing our minds. God, it was fun. Maryland goes on the road and dramatically pulls out an incredible win at Indiana. Back-to-back road wins this week over Illinois and Indiana. Rodney Rice, the hero, with the game-winning 3 in the closing seconds. Joining us now here on GCR, he was on the call for Maryland's big win yesterday on CBS. He is former Villanova coach, Mr. Steve Lappas, and he is with us now here on GCR. Coach, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
I'm happy to be on with you, Glenn.
Man, I know that, like, you get to do a lot of big games and all that, but, boy, as far as excitement goes and as far as the quality of a basketball game and the thrilling nature, boy, I think you got everything that you could possibly have asked for yesterday, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt. That was a great game. And, the crazy thing was, and I had mentioned this to Andrew Cattle on off air, for a while there, the crowd wasn't as boisterous as I've seen Assembly Hall in the past. Right. Now, the last 10 minutes, they really got into it. And, but it was a heck of a game. It was a pretty well-played game, not a lot of turnovers. Teams didn't shoot great till the end, but it really picked up, and the ending was unbelievable.
So, Coach, let me go over a couple of things. Going into this past week, there was a lot made about the fact that under Kevin Willard, Maryland had been 4-20 in Big Ten road games. How much of that was anomaly? How much of that was, look, this is the Big Ten, it's hard to win on the road? How much of that was like a legitimate issue that they needed to address head on and that they needed this week to maybe turn the corner a little bit as a program?
Well, I mean, here's what I'll say, and I don't know what everybody else's record is on the road in the Big Ten. I mean, Michigan State and Purdue probably have very good road records, but everybody else might be in a similar spot. So, to put it in perspective, it's a very difficult league, and it's a very difficult league to win on the road. And I think that, as a matter of fact, I think the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big 12, those three are the toughest places to win on the road. So, listen, Kevin Willard's done a great job at Maryland. These 2 wins were terrific. And you know what else happens is every year you got a new team. So here's a team that is just coming together now. And I talked to Kevin before the game, and he said, we're starting to get a feel for what it's like to play on the road and win on the road. And, the 4 losses they had on the road before were by a total of 16 points. So it's not like they did. The only game they didn't really – that you would say, all right, that was a bad one was the Washington game.
Right.
But for the most part on the road, they've been pretty good.
No,
in terms of
they weren't
competitive.
Right, they weren't getting their butts kicked on the road. To your point, right? Like, and 2 of those games, Purdue and Oregon, nobody's going to complain about, right? Like,
right.
Come on, man, those are really good teams, and you fought like hell against those teams. Coach, I wonder, is there something to you just brought up like this team coming together? Is there something to uniquely having to learn how to win on the road as a group? And in that way, could what happened over these last 2 games pay significant dividends? Could we look back at this week as the week where Maryland kind of kicked this thing into gear and became a team that was capable of competing for one of those top 4 seeds in the Big Ten tournament?
100%. And you know, I mean, take a look at this team. All right, so you got Derek Queen, who's new. He's a freshman.
Yep.
You got Jacoby, who's also a new
Transfer,
guy.
yep.
You got Rice, who really hasn't played at all in his career until this year. He was hurt all the time. And you got Miguel, who's also new. So you got 4 completely new guys. And obviously Julian Reese has been there. But, you know, so coming together is a big part, and developing that chemistry is a big part of being able to win on the road. And I'll tell you this, that game yesterday, even more so than the Illinois game, to win the way they did, I would not be surprised if we saw them go on a big run now. I've seen it happen. You win a game, they kind of stole that game. They were ahead then it looked like they were definitely going to lose with 4 minutes to go, and then they just stole it the last second. Those are the kind of games that you build a lot of momentum on.
He is Steve Lappas. He called Maryland, Indiana yesterday for CBS. He's with us on GCR. Coach, you bring up Julian Reese, and it feels like that's for as much as the attention goes to Derek Queen, and I get it, like he's a special talent, there's no question. But what Julian Reese is doing as one of those rare veterans, guys that actually sticks around in one place for his entire college career, and it's not just his presence, but like he's back to shooting 73% now from the free throw line after being in the 50s each of the last 2 years. I feel like it's hard to fully appreciate how valuable Julian Reese has been to this team this season.
No, he's extremely valuable. I mean, take a look at the game that he had the other day at Illinois. I mean, you talk 27 and 17. I mean, that's really – I mean, yeah, and Derek Queen had 25. But, I mean, he is just – to have a guy like that who's an older guy, who's been there, who's been part of the program for that long, and he stuck it out, and he obviously is the leader of this team, I think it makes a huge difference. So, yeah, he is – and that's why – this is a very dangerous team, and I'll tell you why. Because they won these 2 games completely differently.
Right.
They dominated the paint against Illinois. Yesterday, the paint wasn't a big deal, but the guards played great.
Yep.
So, you know what I mean? This is a team that could go a long way in the NCAA tournament because they have really good balance. And, you know, when you have a team that has 5 guys that have scored 20 points this year, you have a lot of potential weapons. One guy can play bad and 2 guys can play bad, and you can still win.
I want to ask you about Derek Queen. Is this just the nature of being a freshman that for as good as some of these guys are, like you're going to have to deal with days where it's just not there, right? And we've seen a few of them recently where like he just hasn't been able to be as impactful. It still seems like he's settling for outside shots sometimes. And there was the hilarious video on Thursday early on in the game in a Maryland timeout where Kevin Willard's like saying, let's not settle for 15-footers, and he's looking at everybody, but we all know exactly who he's looking at in that spot. Like, is this – do you have any concern that maybe we got too excited about Derek Queen, or is this just the nature of being a freshman that there are going to be games like this?
I think it's the nature of being a freshman. It's going to be games like this, and the games like this are going to happen more often on the road. So that's something that he's got to learn and play through. And I agree. You know, yesterday he settled for a couple of – and I even said it on the air. I said, hey, if he shoots those, Indiana's going to be really happy, you know, that he's shooting those, 12, 14-foot shots rather than going inside to the basket. But he'll learn. But the thing is, in the process of learning, they're winning. It's not like he's trying to learn and the team is going down the tube.
Right.
He's trying to learn, and yet the team has enough to still win. You watch. This kid, he'll get it. And he'll be more consistent, and he'll be more consistent on the road, which is the main thing.
Are you concerned at all about the depth? Like, you bring up that there are the 5 guys, and there certainly are the 5 guys, but there's not a lot more than the 5 guys here. Does that concern you at all, or is that would you? I know the argument some people make is that kind of is the way it ends up being for most teams once you get to the NCAA tournament. Anyway, nobody's really playing 9-10 guys once you get to that point.
Listen, you really need 7.5, okay? Yeah. And Gapare's not a bad guy coming off the bench because he also he's big, he's 6'9", he can make a 3. Jay Young is, these guys in those roles are okay. Now, if you have a major injury or something, then that's going to be a big drop-off. There's no doubt. But to play those minutes that you need for subs to play, I think there's enough. And like you said, you get to the NCAA tournament, you're playing 7 guys, and that's it. And the 6th and 7th guy, unless they're really good,
Right,
they're going to play 8 minutes.
Yeah,
That's it.
I get it. I completely understand, Coach. You brought up Kevin Willard a second ago. Like, you know how this goes, right? Like, this is everybody wants, Maryland to get back the days of Gary Williams, and so it's easy for frustration to settle in. It's the whole thing. But 2 things that happened yesterday really stood out to me about the quality of Kevin Willard, and one of them was the play out of the timeout when they were down by 3, where he just said, like, Julian Reese, go attack, Renew. He's got 4 fouls. And they got a bucket in like 3 seconds with less than 90 seconds left. And then, and I know you guys were having fun with it, right? Because like you were like all the rest of us, you got to foul, you got to foul, you got to foul. And yet, smartly, they fouled the right guy. Like, they got the right guy on the line. I just wonder how much credit Kevin Willard should get for, on a day where it seemed like it was all falling apart, just those little things that help keep it together, to take nothing away from Rodney Rice, who, you got to make that shot. But, like, it just felt like those small things late in the game really proved to be the difference, whereas on the other side, we were all scratching our head about some of the things that Indiana was doing late.
Absolutely. I mean, that was 100%. So he sets up Julian Reese on the foul line area after that timeout, cleared out that side, and gave him an opportunity to go to his left, which obviously is what he likes to do, takes that one to the basket. Then Miles Rice is 30 seconds to go or 28 seconds to go. He's got the ball in the backcourt. You've got to foul at some point. They don't foul him there. They foul the other guy when the ball gets thrown over half court, and then you see what happens at the free throw. So you got to give Kevin Willard a tremendous amount of credit. He was coaching.
Yep.
And but these are the kind of things that go on. And guess what? If Rodney Rice doesn't make that shot, nobody even cares about those things that Kevin Willard did,
100%, right.
which were great. So, yes, these are the kind of things that a great coach does. Kevin knows the game. He played it. He's coached it at all the levels, from Iona to Seton Hall, which is a very tough job, to where he is now. Yeah, he's a quality coach.
How good is Wisconsin? Like, how tough? Like, this is for as good as this week was, right? Like, now here's your reward. You got to turn around and face Wisconsin on Wednesday. It's at home. Yeah, how good?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Coach, you're Steve Lappas. I'm a doofus. You go right ahead.
That's kind of how the league is. You know what I mean? It's and it was like when I was coaching in the Big East in the '90s. You just had to say, worry about today. If you started thinking about tomorrow, and you could drive yourself nuts because you look at the schedule, and today you had Syracuse, tomorrow you had Georgetown, the next day you had UConn. You know what I mean? It was like, you don't even look like that. So same thing in this situation. Yes, Wisconsin's having a very good year, and the thing about Wisconsin this year is they're really scoring the ball, and Greg Gard has always been kind of a 68 to 72 type coach, and now these guys are looking to push it up and do a lot more. So, it's going to be a very, very good game. There's no doubt about it. It's a home game. I got to think people will be excited at Maryland, considering that they're in a great spot.
Students are back,
they won those 2 games on the road. I think that they're going to have a really, it's going to be a great crowd. It's still called the Comcast Center, isn't it?
It's the Xfinity Center now, but it's whatever. I mean, come on. It's who cares? Who cares what the name of the building? Just be there on Wednesday night. If I could,
it's a good place.
Do you look at this team now and say this team? I brought up top 4 because that's a big deal in the Big Ten for trying to get the double bye, but they're number 19 in the net rankings, 21 in KenPom. Are they good enough that they have a legitimate chance of being a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament?
Oh, absolutely. I'm telling you now, I think this team, I can't say, and I said it to Andrew Cattle on off air and on air, how impressed I was with the balance that they have. When you look at their team, I say, well, where's the weakness? All right, you want to say the bench a little bit, but that's not really, that wouldn't be on my top 5 list of main things for teams to go far in the NCAA tournament, So I look at them. They got big guys that can play. They got big guys, especially Reese, who can pass, which makes a huge difference. They got perimeter guys that can shoot it. They got a terrific point guard, without a doubt. Good. The perimeter also has good size, so they can defend other teams, and they're a good defensive team also. We haven't even talked about that.
That's fair.
That they really are ranked higher by Ken Pom defensively than they are offensively.
Yep.
This is a team with tremendous potential.
All right, and then I just wanted to get your thoughts because it was such a conversation this week. The style of a certain coach up at UConn, Dan Hurley. He's an aggressive dude. He's an intense dude, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions. I just wonder for you as a coach, like, does it cross the line? Does it need, or is that just the nature of it? Like, you're gonna say things that you don't mean. It's gonna happen. It's the nature of competition. What do you make of that conversation?
I was not a sit on the bench coach when I coached. Now you may not remember, but I was pretty bad. You know what I mean? I was pretty active. I was on the refs constantly. And when I look back now, I kind of wish I didn't do that, to be honest with you, to be that now. I don't know, but how about this? I kind of wish I didn't do it, but on the other hand, I said, I wonder if I could stop.
Right.
Because
right.
a lot of that is just you.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's not putting on an act. This is how he is. Now, what he said the other day about being the best coach, that was not a smart thing to say. And I'm sure Danny would be the first one to say, yeah, that was kind of stupid. It doesn't sound good to say something like that about yourself. On the other hand, I would like to see him, because he's such a great coach and he is a great guy. I mean, I've known him since he's 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see him back off a little bit if he could. I think it would help him, help his perception, and I think it would help him. I do.
I get exactly. I guess that the response to UConn would be, well, if you're winning, just do whatever. That's all we care about, right? Like, but I understand, right? Like, I understand.
Well, let me tell you this, Glenn. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
When I was winning, we were number 2 in the country at one point, and I was like passionate. They were calling me on. And then when at the end, when we didn't make the NCAA tournament my last year going over, I was out of control.
Right. Then it mattered. Well, look, hey, man, we got to know Gary Williams really well over the years. So we know a thing or two about passionate, fired up guys that maybe say things that you don't want to have the kids around the bench for. Like, we understand a thing or two about that.
Right.
So it's a complicated conversation. Coach, what's up next for you? What's on your schedule?
I've got Oklahoma State and Kansas State tomorrow. On Wednesday. And then I have Providence at St. John's in Madison Square Garden on Saturday.
Very cool. Coach Steve Lappas, appreciate you. That was a lot of fun yesterday. Enjoyed you and Andrew together. That was great. Thank you for taking the time for us. Let's catch up again as we get closer to the tournament, all right?
You got it, Glenn. Thanks.
Thanks, Coach. Steve Lappas with us here on GCR. Just a hell of a basketball game. And I acknowledge part of that, like the joy that I had was that I was sitting there watching it with my son, and he was into it, like really into it, really into it. Like when they fell behind by 4, he was distraught. He definitely, it's over, isn't it, Dad? Like, well, not yet. So that added to it. Like, it gave me like this is a special moment, like it's a father-son thing. But it was a damn good basketball game. Damn good game. And look, man, we eternally remember buzzer beaters. It's just the nature of basketball. So that shot won't be eternal for Rodney Rice because
not like those Melo Trimble, like
Cliff Tucker. Like there's certain we just remember. Obviously, nothing will compare to Drew Nicholas because that was the NCAA tournament. But like you remember buzzer beat when it's the buzzer, when it's life or death in that shot. Like you remember them forever. But that is my God, that was a shot from Rodney Rice. And it was the right thing. Like, in that spot in the game, we talked about it with Jacoby. What was the road game where Jacoby Gillespie had was it Oregon? Where he had the look
right.
on the right side, didn't take it, was hesitant, ended up taking a much worse shot. Like, he dribbled all the way under the basket to the other side, took a much worse shot from the other side. And in hindsight, you recognize that the shot was the one he passed. Like, he had it on the right side. It's just that he was like, well, is that really the shot I should be taking here? That feels quick. It feels forced. That was the shot for Rodney Rice. He was open. He was curling, so he hadn't been like standing there calling for the ball. But that was the shot. and he had the confidence to take it and knock it down in that moment. And I think that speaks to why so many people, as frustrated as we've been by some of these performances, why from the outside so many people are so high on this group on the whole is because they say, and that was what, your fourth or fifth best player who was confident to take that shot with the game on the line? The three are obvious, and then it's he or Selton Miguel. But Selton Miguel was knocking down huge shots in the second half yesterday. Jacoby Gillespie has obviously been great all season. I mean, we remember the Oregon thing, but, like, Jacoby Gillespie has been
like Braden Smith's the only point guard that's playing better than him in the Big Ten.
I'm not going to pretend like
in
I
the
watch.
Big Ten. In the Big Ten,
I know, but I'm not going to pretend like I watch all of the Big Ten either.
There was
what
are the stats they said?
That's 18 teams now. I don't think I could name two other point guards in the Big Ten at this point. Like,
and that's why.
It's just the difficult. I mean, like, what's his face? Ace Baldwin, right? Like, I know him.
Baldwin, that's right.
Like, he's really
Big Ten
good.
guard now, yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
but there's only so many.
And when he's not on the floor, Penn State is significantly worse.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. He's very good. But, like, I can only name a couple of them. Michigan State's unbelievable. I can't tell you who's doing it for Michigan State.
Tom Izzo.
That's probably true. By the way, they always get better in March. That's how good they are now. Now think about how much better they're going to be when they get to March. That's just the nature of the beast. I was smitten. That was a smitten. And I get it. Indiana's not very good. And part of it was they conspired. They helped collapse at the end of the game. All of it. They allowed the ball to be in the wrong shooter's hands. The thing that Maryland wanted. They wanted the ball in Trey Galloway's hands. And they allowed that. Then they didn't give the foul. I've seen a couple people on Twitter try to, like, Zapruder film that and say they were trying to give the foul. Maybe. And I get it. It was very close to a walk for Jacoby Gillespie. I was nervous. That it was a walk for Jacoby Gillespie. I've looked at it a couple times. I don't know. It's also like, they let other guys get away with certain. Like, in the NBA, you're not even halfway to a walk. You're still 6 or 7 steps away from a walk in the NBA. But in college basketball, could it have been called? Maybe. I mean, it was close. But then, they don't give the foul that they have. They end up giving Rodney Rice an open look at a three from that. And then I have no idea how to explain what the hell happened at the end of the game. Like, I get that it's tough to be pinned in the corner. Like, having the ball knocked out of bounds was tough for them because now you're pinned in the corner where you're inbounding from.
And that was Derek Queen, right? I mean, like,
credit to him, 100%. On a day where he wasn't great,
right?
He was still in it and invested and making plays. And then you add in, like, the story apparently after the game. I was so smitten with this game. I was, like, reading stuff afterwards. Apparently, the Indiana play, dude. When you're a dad, you'll understand.
Okay.
Like, there is nothing that, like, I took both of them. We went to the Loyola game on Saturday. It was a bummer. They lost. They blew it. They had a lead. And it was a whole thing. But, like, my younger son, my 7-year-old, who normally just tags along when we go to basketball games, like, he's not really. He was into it. Like, he was high-fiving after threes. He was. And then you, like, feel an obligation to be more into it. Like, you can't look at your phone. You have to watch the game and react to everything. Because now my 7-year-old is, like, asking me questions. Like, why is it their ball? Why is, like, and that moment, like, it's better when they're playing. Like, it's better when you go to their baseball game or whatever. But, like, outside of that, it don't get a lot better than when, like, your kids are into something. Like, and it's not Pokemon, like, because
nothing wrong with that either.
I'll never be able to join them there. Never. God bless my buddy Matt Luderman came to the house to watch a game recently and, like, ended up spending the entire time just talking about Pokemon with my kids. Like, it was very sweet of him. I told him, I'm like, dude, you understand now? If you ever come over again, this is what it's going to be. Like, the moment they see you, they're just going to be like, Pokemon.
See, that's why I don't talk about anything but sports, because now whenever they see me, they just want to talk about fantasy football.
Smart.
You know?
See, there you go. Well, my older son definitely is all in on. My 9-year-old is all in on fantasy football. But yeah, I was really into it. And so they were saying after the game that, remember, there was all those, after the ball went out of bounds, they had like they went through a round of very
well, they
quick
took
subs.
Balo out, and
which
because they wanted shooter. Yeah, I know they wanted shooters,
but that was the thing that was working for them, was getting inside, and they still had 4 seconds.
And they only needed a basket.
Yes. So what? Like, I understand the idea of wanting, hey, if we can't get it inside, it can't be Omar Balo shooting from 18 feet. Like, that can't be the answer to this. But, he's big. He's dominated. Why not just try to get it into him? And apparently they were so the subs came so quickly, and they were so unnatural. The group of players that were out there just aren't there together, that they acknowledged afterwards we were kind of confused and didn't really know where everybody was supposed to be.
There was no 5 on the floor.
And that led to kind of bunched up in the corner, and I just got to toss something up so we get any shot off. Bizarre, man. Like that's the type of stuff where you understand. Like, I'm not trying to defend Mike Woodson because, like, I don't know what happened. That was insane, the final minute of the game. But the difference in just being competent in those situations and not panicking and not combusting and not vomiting, mom spaghetti, the whole thing, that can be how you win on the road. Maybe not against Michigan State, maybe not against, the best coaches. And like, you would assume a Michigan State team isn't going to combust like that at home. But generically, maybe that could have been how you beat Washington or Northwestern earlier this year. Generically speaking, just don't make the critical mistakes. Be the team that in those moments when everything was going wrong, Maryland had every reason to they just blew a 10-point lead. They easily could have been like, well, here we go again. This is our fate. And instead, they stayed composed, they didn't panic, and they executed exactly what they needed to execute in the final 90 seconds of the game in order to be able to pull it off. Damn good win. Towson plays tonight. UMBC went on the road and beat Vermont.
Yeah, that's an
Vermont is like,
it's not. Yeah, they're not Vermont.
Right,
they're not 13 seed Vermont that they've been.
Correct.
But
and they're dealing with some injuries, but like still,
no one wins in.
Yeah, they went
in
on,
Burlington,
and I think I saw something like it's like the biggest home loss of the Becker era.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I believe that is
crazy,
accurate.
man, crazy. And then
Navy won yesterday.
Yeah, Navy. That was a big one against Army, and obviously the emotions of Pete Medhurst passing away. I know that felt very good for them. That was a really emotional kind of scene for them going on the road and winning that game. And Morgan kind of handily beat Coppin this weekend as well. So that's kind of the rundown college basketball for the weekend.
Not Samaritan's lost.
There was also the insane Kansas-Houston thing. Like, just nuts.
Unless you bet on Kansas.
Sure, right? Then it was the biggest miracle you've ever seen in your life. Dude, if you think that it's crazy what happened to Indiana in the final minute, holy crap. You'll see a lot of things, dude.
I mean, I don't know how Houston loses. I don't know. I mean, I guess they should have lost that game, but like.
Yeah, they should have lost. They were down by 6 on the road at Kansas. How does that ever happen? Ever. Kansas had the ball up 6 in the final minute of overtime. Holy S.
Houston had from KenPom
like
a 0.4 chance to win while Kansas had the ball
Which, by the
6
way,
seconds.
How is it 0.4? How is it that good? I'm like, did you mean 0.04?
Yeah. It was the most unlikely win in any of the 1,487 games between top 25 teams over the last 15 seasons. I feel like there was more. I mean, there were more. The previous record for top 25 matchups in the last 15 seasons was 0.5%. Kansas was trailing by 14 with 3 minutes left against West Virginia at Allen Fog Allen, and like 6 years ago, 7 years
that makes
ago.
a little bit more sense that they
came back
it's going to
home
happen,
court.
It would be at home. This happened.
Yeah,
they blew it
ridiculous.
On their home floor, like at Kansas. This isn't Washington State blowing this on them. Kansas! It's the craziest thing that's ever. I was not watching the game live. So, I was just, Twitter was informing me of what was going on.
I was watching it live, and I couldn't believe what I was.
They went to the line with 18 seconds. Kansas went to the free throw line. DeJuan Harris Jr. with 18 seconds left in overtime, up 6. 18 seconds, up 6, at home, on the free throw line, and lost. Didn't lose in that overtime. They had to go to a double overtime in order to lose. I've rewatched it 3 times. I still can't believe. I saw Maryland blow a 10-point lead to Duke in a minute, but that was a minute. That was a full 54 seconds. In 18 seconds. Missed free throw. 3-pointer for Houston.
I'm playing it in silence. I'm playing it.
3-pointer for Houston. I don't know. You can describe it.
He just missed the second free throw.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
now Houston's pushing
Sharp
up the court.
made the first 3. And then.
Which wasn't even that great looking of a shot.
No, it was not.
It was a miracle.
And then there's 7 seconds left.
Oh, my God.
All you got to do is inbound the ball, dog. All you got to do is inbound the ball. Make a free throw. Really, at that point, if you inbound it, even if you miss the free throws, there's only going to be 4 seconds left. It's gonna come down to a half-court shot.
That was a terrible inbound.
So bad. Then apparently, I'm talking about this, and our friend Rob Shields informed me about the Boston College, North Carolina thing, where all Boston College needs to do is inbound the ball, and they beat North Carolina, and they can't do it. It's a whole thing. All right, can we take a break before Jeremy?
Yes,
let's grab a break. Then Jeremy will join us next. That's what's going on. It is a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and it's our very special Best of 2024 issue. On the cover, we celebrate our Mo Gaba Sports Person of the Year, Lamar Jackson, as Bo Smolka profiles what the quarterback means to the community beyond the football field. Also inside, we celebrate the top people, performances, and moments of the year in local sports. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always read the entire issue and find the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCRs. Continue along on a Monday edition of the program. The Brigance Brigade Winter Soiree is just a couple of weeks away at Martin's West, February 21st. The Brigance Brigade, something near and dear to all of our hearts. Started in honor of the great O.J. Brigance and his incredible fight against ALS. The mission of the Brigance Brigade is to improve the quality of life for those fighting ALS and their families by providing access to support services, needed equipment, and resource guidance. You can go right now to brigancebrigade.org. It's going to be a great night. Live auction, tremendous live music. We know the great Jimmy Charles is going to be there. Delicious food. Get your tickets for the Brigance Brigade Winter Soiree right now by going to brigancebrigade.org. This guy, I was listening this morning, and I heard that he also was on the Kansas side of the betting on Saturday. Otherwise, had a great weekend. He is our friend Jeremy Conn, and he's back with us now here on GCR. You'll see a lot of things, man. You'll see a lot of things watching sports. That one, holy
it's crazy. Like my Saturday was so I went 8-2 overall and 5-0 in my top plays, and I had a bunch of people like sending me messages of these big parlays they hit, which I absolutely love. And then I went and looked at the two losses I had, and one was Texas -1.5. They won by 1.
Right.
And then the other one's the Houston game where at one point they had like a 0.04% chance of winning the game. So it's just like, what the hell's going on here?
No doubt.
But, and then I had the two football games yesterday. Basketball didn't treat me kindly.
All right. A bunch of stuff that I want to get to with you, but I want to start. We had Trey on earlier. It's like a tradition that Trey and I have been doing, talking on Mo's birthday. So I know that these dates always stir up a lot of emotions, but it's that thing. We have this obligation to keep telling the story and to keep talking about Mo and how he should be impacting all of our lives, and thinking about Mo as an adult and like as impactful as he was, how much more impactful he could have been. It kind of hits you in days like yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, look, anytime something like this happens to, I mean, he was a child, he was 14 years old, and you look at all that he went through, it's like, yeah, I want to know what type of adult he would have been. I want to know what his life would have been like. And, you know, and one of the things that I look at myself as, how much better could I have made his life? You know, a lot of us contributed to try to make it as great as it was. I still have, like, I'm doing better with the, you know, beating myself up for most stuff. I know some people are like, what do you mean beating yourself up? Like, I always felt like I could do more. And for the longest time, I've eaten myself up just, you know, with my depression and everything else. And so I went out to the gravesite yesterday, and it's nice to see some flowers out there and people cleaning it off. But yeah, I couldn't stop crying, man. It hits me differently, especially the year that I had last year and my suicide attempt. And it's like, you think about those things and you go, man, like all this kid wanted to do was live and spend time with his mom and laugh. And here I am, some schlub that just is trying to end it. And it makes you feel a certain way. And I'm trying to get past that. It's not like survivor's guilt or anything like that. It's just, I don't know, you just kind of beat yourself up. But my wife went out with me yesterday to the gravesite, which was nice. I hadn't been there in a while. But that's, it's just something where you look at this guy specifically, and what gives me joy is when I post happy birthday and I see not only like 500 likes, but 500 messages, which to me, it's, you know, it's people that are chiming in about their memories and how much they miss his laugh and his voice. But you said it, there wasn't a better person in the world, man. Just
no doubt.
A superstar.
The greatest human that ever lived. There's just no question about that whatsoever.
Yeah.
I everybody's got, like, I know how much Chiefs fatigue there is. I understand it. Like, I don't even blame them for it. I just, it's hard for me to be mad about it. Like, generically, do I think the Chiefs get a lot of calls? Yeah, I do. But I also think that a lot of other good teams have gotten calls over the years. I think that's the way that it tends to be that way. You get good, you tend to get the call. Some of it is because of your own doing, because you're a good football team, and that puts you in that position. Some of it is there's an aura that comes along with it. But the Bills had every chance to beat the Chiefs yesterday. They didn't. That's not it. You want to debate about the fourth down thing? Do I think it was a first down? I do. Do I think that it was going to get overturned? I don't. Like, the Chiefs won. That's what they do. They win. There is no team, maybe in the history of the NFL, that handles themselves in close games in the biggest moments the way that these dudes do. And it pisses me off and it frustrates me that we just got to keep. But that's, what else do I do other than say, yep, they did it again?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's funny, too, because if you look at the Chiefs, they've had what did they say, 17 straight weeks of one-score games, and they've obviously ended up on the good side of most of that. It's just I just think about what they've accomplished, and yes, they do get some favorable calls at times. I mean, I feel like superstars get it. They have calls that go against them. The ball bounce is funny. You look at a couple of anomalies and things that happen. I think it's the first time, actually it's the second time in NFL playoff history that a team got 4 turnovers and lost the game and scored a certain amount of points, and both times it was the Bills against the Chiefs. The other one being that 13-second left, go down the field and win. It's just weird. I mean, they're really good. They have a great coach. The thing that I've told people is they make all the layups. They make sure they do all the easy things right. So when these magical plays happen, we're like, oh, my God, they're so amazing. But they make sure they do the screen passes and the short passes right if they're running the ball. They make sure that they set up the play the same way it's designed before if you're going to go in a different direction so teams are biting on it. The wide receivers running the routes. And, oh, by the way, I mean, you might have the best to ever do it back there quarterbacking for him. I did like that somebody said he wears 15 for the 15-yard penalty so the ref knows what he's supposed to get when he's on the ground. But he got his ass handed to him on one of those plays. I mean, he just got drilled into the ground. There was no flag. So I do agree with you. I think that was a first down by Josh Allen. What they called on the field, I thought was going to be whatever it was once they reviewed it, because you really can't.
Yeah, we've watched football enough to know that like these spot challenges are almost impossible. Like they have to be dramatically wrong, or there has to be just a spectacular piece of video that gives you definition. It almost has to be like right on the sideline. And they didn't have any of that, and that's the way it was going to be. And again, like if you want to say they were robbed, if he got it by an inch. And I think he did, but he got it by an inch. And we've accepted this as part of football. Like it goes back to the conversation of they could just put a chip in the ball. They absolutely could just put a chip in the ball. 100%. They could just put a chip in the ball. And I wish they would. But we watch the game anyway, and if we're going to choose to watch it, we have to accept that this is part of the deal, man. Like, it sucks. I hate it. And they should fix it, and they should do everything in their power to get this stuff right. But they've just decided that they want to have officials guessing where a football really was. And that's the
I have more problems than that. Like that's like to me the ball and where it's going. Granted, it's a big deal because we just saw what happened yesterday. But like I don't either have the eye in the sky, call down for everything, or call down for nothing. You don't get to pick and choose which plays. That's why I feel like it's such a bad look for the league. Do I think the league is telling the referees to make calls in favor of Pat Mahomes? No, I don't. I'm not that conspiracy theorist. But you do leave it up to those jackasses to lose their minds when they're like, well, wait a minute. Why didn't they call down on Hollywood Brown's catch on the sideline? It looked like his foot was out, but they just let him run another play. Oh, wait a minute. Why aren't they challenging this play? They ran another play. Oh, they did challenge it. So we're going to go back and say the other play is null and void after they completely ran it. Like, some of this stuff is just ridiculous. In the gray area, like, don't tell me at the beginning of the season that the hip drop tackle is illegal,
right, and
then I watched 12 of them this weekend. Like it's in the snow. When you watch the Eagles and the Ravens play in the snow a week ago, you saw so many of those, including they just came back and fined Milano for a hip drop tackle on Lamar out of bounds. It's just like, and this isn't me complaining about the refs. I feel like if you're going to leave up that gray area for fans to go, well, wait a minute, why'd that happen? Because why aren't you reviewing everything? It just none of it makes sense to me. And even Rob pointed out this morning, I didn't realize it. The ref that could see Josh Allen and see him from the front side was the one that came running over the line. The other one's the one that came running under, and eventually they just took the guy who had it under.
Yeah,
so,
I don't think either one of them actually could see him. Like that's the one.
I don't either.
Yeah, I think that's the reality. Like one of them, the ball was facing him, so you can make that stronger argument. But there were about 8 dudes in the way, so I'm not really sure that guy had any idea either. I think it's just the type of stuff that we cling to in these moments because we didn't want the Chiefs to win. But like, I don't think any of them had any idea where the ball was, like at all.
This week, and I don't dislike Bills fans, and I know a couple of them got my mentions and pissed me off last week for stupid stuff, especially one guy that called in, or he listened to our show and then told me I was a terrible radio host.
Oh.
I was better with Scott because I picked the Bills to lose to the Ravens. But like this whining that happened about all these plays that go on in a game where, like I even saw Bills fans going back to, look at this false start, look at this play. There's even Chiefs fans going back and pointing at the Bills for Deion Dawkins' false start on their touchdown to Mac Hollins that wasn't called. And, we go back to the Ravens game there. I point out the plays that I think are big and have a huge impact on the game. The 4th and 1, absolutely.
Yeah.
The pass interference last weekend before the half absolutely had an impact on the game.
Of course it did.
But there are so many things that happen in said game that you could point at and go, if they did this differently, if they did that differently, this, whatever, and the game changes.
Right. Yes. I look, man, I think the pass interference was huge. Here's the other thing, too, for if Bills fans think that yesterday was about the officiating, one, you got the ball back down 3 with 2.5 minutes remaining. I genuinely thought, because I'm an idiot, in my mind, I genuinely believed at that point they were going to win the game. I said, wow, they did what they needed. They got a stop by holding the Chiefs to a field goal. They've got plenty of time. They're going to win. Like, this is going to be the moment. Now, again, silly me, but it's the second part, which was you got to be willing to tell the truth. Josh Allen wasn't good last night. Like, he's as good as he is, he deserved there were 8 plays that should have been turnovers. So in a world where you say, hey, that happens to a lot of guys, like not every play that should have been a turnover turns into a turnover, fine. But like in a fair world, he has at least 3. He looked like the old guy. He looked like the guy that just tries to force things last night. And that to me plays into the Chiefs' aura, that like there's something about playing the Chiefs that in the playoffs that makes you forget all of the things that you did well that were the reason why you got. We all know that Josh Allen is immensely talented. He was better this year because he recognized how important it was to not make critical mistakes. Last night, he defaulted right back to being the guy that was happy to make critical mistakes. The Chiefs just didn't really make him pay for any of them.
Well, Romo called him out last night and then gave him credit, saying he may have seen the flag to throw that
on the one,
call,
but
that's he threw a horrible.
Right, that was awful.
Yeah.
But that was the one. Like, the first 2 throws of the game absolutely should have been interceptions. Like, he was a much worse version of the guy that we had seen all season long, the same way that the Ravens.
2 weeks, he was mistake-free. He wasn't special the way he was all year long.
Correct. He recognized, and this is the thing I keep talking about, like, if there's a lesson for the Ravens to learn, it's we all know how great Lamar Jackson is capable of being. But the next lesson is, on a bad snap, if it's not 3rd down and you don't need the yards to get into field goal range, you got to recognize that we're not winning the Super Bowl on this play. We're in a losing – we all know we can do it because we've literally watched him do it. He did it against the Bengals. But it's not about whether or not you can do it. It's about whether or not it's smart. And in the same way that we watched who was the Commanders receiver that was running was it Brown, the first fumble of the game yesterday? Who's doing he's doing the Mark Andrews thing, where instead of just running north and south, they're running east and west in a playoff game against a good defense that's going to make you pay for that when you're not just putting your head down and plowing forward. It's the same. I know what Mark Andrews is trying to do there, but that's not the time for it in the playoffs. The playoffs is you got a first down. Keep the ball moving. Keep going.
Do you take any solace at all that the Bills lost because there were a few bad calls and at the end of the game their tight end dropped the pass? Like,
No,
does that make you feel any better about last week at all, or no?
Feel any better at all? Any better, even a little bit.
Are they setting up a charity for Dalton Kincaid now?
Yeah.
Can
we have a real talk about this? Right, like that. I feel like this is a difficult conversation to have. Anything that involves charities making money is a good thing, so you're not allowed to say this, right?
But
there's a massive difference. What the Bills did for Andy Dalton's charity was really cool. That was a genuine.
He won and helped them get in.
Exactly right. That was a genuine. Hey man, really appreciate the fact that that game meant nothing to you guys, and you were trying like hell, and you didn't roll over. And they ended up, ending this drought that we've been dealing with. That was a really cool moment. This is not the same thing. This feels like piling on. And you can't say that because, again, in the end, the win is that a charity that's doing good work gets money. And you can't – you don't want to take that away. But
that's the bottom line, is that a charity got money, but it's a little disingenuous how they read.
It's exactly the way. This does not feel like this was not a feel-good story to me. This felt a lot more like, ha-ha, suckers, we got, like, that it did not feel anything to say. This did not make me say, "Oh, those good guys." Like that, the Andy Dalton thing, I thought was awesome. Great story, great moment, showed a lot of class. Cool. This does not feel anything nearly the same. This absolutely feels like just wanting to rub it in a little bit. Like,
well, again, if that's the case, why haven't they started I mean, he's got a charity that works with autism. Why haven't they started raising money for that? And again, I'm not.
Yep.
The bottom line is the charity got money. I get it, but it's the fact that they've done this a couple times now, where it's like, oh, it's not like we want to pick you up. It's haha, you lost.
Right.
So here, we'll donate to your charity because it helps us.
Right. And we'll say that you've got bad fans because they were saying mean things about Mark Andrews. We're the God, you suck. Like,
you guys have bad fans too, because we heard from all of them on Monday afterwards as well.
Enough. Yeah, I hate it. You can't really talk about that topic because, like, dude, in the end, it's good for the diabetes charity. Like, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I want them to go get more money. I want every charity to get all the money. I want that to be the case. But yeah, disingenuous is the best way of putting it. It didn't feel right. All right, you got a gut. Anything that you're already feeling about the Super Bowl, or you're not there yet?
I love the under. I think you're going to see a lot more running from these teams, better defensive outputs. And again, in championship games, a lot of times we see teams play slower. So it is something where, you got to look at the situation and say, hey, we have a situation here where we can kind of keep the time off the clock and kind of control the ball. I know a lot of teams have tried to do it. So it's something where I think we're going to see a slower game, and the Eagles, I like the Eagles to win, honestly.
Wow.
But I do think we see a slower game, and my favorite play is by far the under.
Okay. All right. Have you watched Kings of Tupelo by chance?
Who's in that?
This is so we've been doing this thing over on the radio station where we watch crime documentaries now, and we do a book club meeting to talk about them. With Ken and Tim stick around after their show, and so we do the first segment.
Is this a book or is it a documentary?
No, it's a documentary. That's the irony of this segment, is that we call it book club because we're never going to read a book. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Oh, that's a perfect book
Yes,
club.
exactly right. So instead, we all get together and we watch crime documentaries, and then we talk about them afterwards. And we've done a bunch of different ones. And the one this week, Ken recommended Kings of Tupelo, which is new on Netflix, and I knew nothing about the story. Like, you remember a little bit about the story. It sort of centers around. Do you remember, like, it wasn't anthrax, it was ricin that was being sent to the president years ago and some other government officials? It sort of centers around that, but Jeremy, we're doing it tomorrow night. It's when we're talking about it. We've watched a lot of these. Nothing has blown my mind like this. This is, if this came out during the pandemic, it would be wilder than Tiger King. Like, it's mind-blowing. I'm telling you need to watch this thing. Like, I can't give too much away because we're talking about it on the show tomorrow. You have to watch Kings of Tupelo, dude. Like, you have to watch.
Well, you know me, I'm like huge with. I love documentaries.
Oh yeah.
My wife and I are constantly watching the series that come out. Whether it's a singular one, I was trying to find the one that I thought was the hardest watch of all of them. God, I'll have to get the name of it and text it to you. But it's
because we do need a suggestion for next
documentary
week.
I've ever watched.
We do it every week, so we need a suggestion for next week. We did Chiefsaholic last week, and it just pissed me off.
Are you guys fine doing older ones?
Rita made us watch an older one like a month ago, and it was the worst one that we've watched of any of them. It was a documentary called
what it was called?
It was called like What's Wrong with Aunt Diane, and it was an entire. You remember this?
Yeah, because my wife and I were looking at it, and we were going to watch it. And
don't never watch it. It's just the story is not worthy of this documentary. Like it was. They made a documentary. Got to the end of it, realized nothing interesting happened, and said, well, we put all the effort in, we got to release it. Like, there's nothing there. It is not worthy of what they did. It's awful. But Kings of Tupelo, holy F.
I'll give you the one. Have you seen Dear Zachary?
No. What is Dear Zachary?
It's the saddest documentary you'll ever watch.
Oh, I don't know if I want to watch God. Dear Zachary.
It's,
a letter to his son about his father. Oh, no. Oh, I don't like where this is going at all.
I watched it once. I've never watched it again, and I don't regret watching it because I think it's such an amazing. Like, you can see how things in life can go, and this thing has such a twisted. I don't want to ruin anything. It's just messed up.
All right. I'll take a look at it. What else is going on in your world? What else is happening?
Not much, man. Like I was just saying, we interviewed Jerry Palm this morning, and I mean this when I say it. Like I've been unbelievably happy watching college hoops, and I can't wait for the football season to be over with so I can just dive into it. He said he had the SEC getting 13 teams in right now as it stands, and I'm going, this is the best conference I've ever watched.
It's crazy, right?
I think in my history of watching basketball. I know it's not long, but like every road game, every road team can't win. They just keep going on the road and losing. It's amazing.
I was telling Griffin, dude, I got let yesterday. I don't even know why, but like my 9-year-old and I think the younger son had a birthday party, and so we were gonna be at home. I was making some meatballs. My wife made some dip, but then we sat down at noon and put the Maryland-Indiana game on, and like my 9-year-old was into it, like into
That's
it.
awesome.
We were cuddled up on the couch, and he was living and dying with every shot. And it's just one of those moments where you're like, this is life. This is all I've ever wanted in my life. And so Rodney Rice hits the 3 at the end. We both simultaneously jump off the couch together.
See, I had the exact opposite of that. Watching not basketball, but watching the first football game yesterday, where my wife was asking a ton of questions that I thought were like, I thought they were easy stuff, but for somebody that's trying to enjoy the game and doesn't understand it, like she was asking about flags and what's the tush push and is that legal? What did he get it? How do they know he got, like all these questions?
Yep.
And it bled into the Kansas City game, and she looked at me. She goes, "I'm sorry. I hope you're not mad at me for asking these questions." I said, "No, I'm not mad. I just feel like I'm answering the same questions over and over again."
Yeah, and like and when you're trying to explain it and you're trying to say like, hey, nobody knows what a completed catch is. Nobody knows. Like because my wife had that with me. She's like, so why are they like on the play before the half? She's like, why are they reviewing it? I'm like, well, they think that it hit the ground. And she's like, well, it did hit the ground. I'm like, right, but like, did he lose? And now we're just and I just realized I can't. We just have to stop talking about this because I can't make it make sense to you. It's not possible.
Yeah, because it's not – and, again, it's not – I love the fact that my wife gets involved. Baseball was the hardest thing. Like, try explaining a double play and why you don't have to tag the guy at a certain base and what an infield fly rule is and what's a suicide squeeze. What does that mean? How come that guy scored after – isn't he out? Doesn't he just have to throw it back to the bag? No, he tagged up. Like all those things. But the football one yesterday was just this. This led to this led to that question, that led to that. And then all of a sudden we're watching the Chiefs. It's like, was that the same thing that happened in the first game? No, honey, that's different. It was just a long day. I wasn't mad at her, but it's a lot of explaining.
Exactly right. All right. What's coming up on the show this week?
So we're same thing. We'll be leading into next week with the big game. And then, of course, I hate that we got to say big game, but I guess I don't have to in that situation.
I think it's only during advertising, right? Like when you're just talking about it, you can say the Super Bowl,
again, like I've been practicing it so much of not saying it because of all the BS I have to deal with, So
were you going to go? Who was going to go if the Ravens had been in? Was anybody going to go? Like
we don't know. I mean, we got a new PD, and like they've been talking about it.
That's
so
the only.
That's
the more difficult part for me is like when next week rolls around and I see everybody in New Orleans, and I'm like, because it's like my favorite city. It's just my favorite place.
Yeah, I love New Orleans.
Right,
it's a dirty Baltimore.
God, it's the best. And so, we would have been there, and I would have been having a week in New Orleans, and that'll hit me next week. Like, next week, that'll hit me. Because when they're in Minnesota, you don't care that you're not there. Like, yeah, I'm good. It's all right that I didn't make this
There's
one.
certain places.
But, yeah, when they're in New Orleans, when they've been in Phoenix, because I loved it in Phoenix, like, it's all that. When they go there, I have those moments. I'm just like, damn it. And I'm going to feel that next week. All right, at JCon Sports, Big Bad Morning Show, 105.7 The Fan, ConcreteLocks.com with 2 N's. Love you, buddy. We'll talk next Monday. Thank you.
All right, man. I'll see you. Thanks.
Jeremy Conn with us as he is every Monday here on GCR. My wife definitely had that moment before the half where she's like, so wait, well, was it a catch or was it an interception? I'm like, well, it's more complicated because it can't be an interception because there was a penalty on the play. So
they have to decide. No.
And then I'm like, so then why did they challenge it? I'm like, well, because it was still a 20-yard gain. Like, it's still a big play. She's like, but if there's a penalty, then it's not. I'm like, oh, my God, stop asking questions.
That was a good question.
I still can't tell if it was a good challenge or not. Like, I still think it was a good challenge, even though there would have been a penalty, because I think it still would have been a difference of 15 yards. But then the argument was, well, you want him to score quicker there. so that you still have time when you get the ball back.
Play.
So, like, arguably, it was a terrible challenge because you would have been better off.
I guess we got to think about it. If John Harbaugh had done that.
Yeah, how would we have reacted? We probably would have dunked on him, honestly. Like, given all of the circumstances, we probably would have lost our minds. But, yeah, she's like, so if it touches the ground, it's incomplete. I'm like, well, no.
Well,
like, if it can touch the ground, but if they say that they have control, she's like, well, how can you tell? I'm like, you can't. You can't tell. I feel like Nate Bargatze in the Saturday Night Live sketches where he's George Washington.
No one knows.
They're like, so it's always worth 3 points. Sort of.
Sometimes one. Yeah. Sometimes 3.
Yeah. That's what I feel like trying to explain this to my wife when she's asking me about the play before the half. I'm like, just go with whatever they say. Just go with it. That's the story. Don't try to figure it out. It's just going to give you a headache. We come back in. We'll get a tidbit. And we'll get two, but to wrap it up for a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
COVID-19 and flu viruses are circulating in Maryland. But don't worry. Protection is within arm's reach. Protect your health with this year's COVID-19 and flu shots. It's safe and convenient to get them both at the same time. Flex your protection. For more information, visit health.maryland.gov/vaccines.
This message paid for by the Maryland Department of Health.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we are winding down for a Monday edition of the program. Today's show has also been brought to you by, well, not brought to you, but just a reminder about the print issue of Pressbox, which is available for free anywhere where you get Pressbox, including your neighborhood Royal Farms stores. Still, yes, I know it's a bummer they're not getting ready for the Super Bowl, but Lamar Jackson was our Mo Gaba Sports Person of the Year, and he's on the cover, so go pick that one up today. You can read it all, PressBoxOnline.com/bestof. And then coming in the next couple of weeks, a new print issue of Pressbox with a baseball theme to the cover that we'll be telling you more about in the coming weeks. I'm trying to feel if there was anything else from the weekend that we didn't cover. I feel like feel like.
Yeah. I mean, I guess since we're talking about the Cowboys, they're also, they got their defense figured out as well.
Oh.
They're interviewing Matt Eberflus today for their defensive
Hell
coordinator.
Yeah, man.
So
They're putting together the all-star staff. Is what you're saying. So the Saints are the only team that still hasn't hired a coach.
So does that mean like they
It
want
has to
Cliff
be,
or like? But
or they were, well, if it was Cliff, they could have announced it by now, right? Like.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Or Cliff's, Cliff's still trying to get over it,
Okay. Could it be Spagnuolo? Is that possible?
I guess so.
A lot of people pointed out. Like, I think like Steve Spagnuolo is 20-4 all time in the playoffs as a coordinator. I think is what I saw. And I don't know where the other losses came from.
So Cliff has not interviewed with the Saints. Apparently, the last report was that he's like still deciding if he even wants
to interview.
Yeah, and now he's got nothing to worry about. But
I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know. So yeah, that's the only team left that needs to hire a coach. And is there anything else from this weekend? Big WNBA trade.
Yeah,
Jewel Lloyd. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all. You went to the Maryland game?
I went to the Maryland game. They hung in there for. I mean, they're
rallied.
obviously struggling.
They rallied, and it's killer for them without Bree McDaniel and Shy Sellers. Yeah, but like they were down double digits in the second quarter. Got back within 5. Like had.
Oh, they did the baby race at halftime.
Okay,
that was awesome. That was
the good news for you is that you didn't have to deal with NBC's camera. And for some reason, NBC decided to shoot the game from the upper deck.
Okay.
It was the camera angle was dreadful.
Yeah, I can't go on with the wall.
I switched after a little while and watched the football game, and so maybe they improved it at some point in the second half.
They did. What was the football game that they did that where they were at the top of the stadium?
That
one
was
time?
it was the soccer match.
Oh, that's right.
In Kansas City, right?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Football.
Thank you.
Yes.
Where you're just like, what? How is this something that's allowed? Sometimes, by the way, it's like that for Chiefs games where you're like, this is not as good of a camera angle as there are. It's always like that with Commanders games where the camera angle's not great. Like it's different everywhere, but the camera angle for the Maryland UCLA game yesterday stinks. And then obviously, what did she finish? What did
she had 31.
Oh my, it was insane.
She had 31 of their first 50, and then they started knocking down threes, and then it was like all right. I mean, yeah, this is the number 1 team in the country. We get it. But yeah, I mean,
what did Lauren Betts finish?
Over 30. She had to have had double-digit rebounds. I'm sure. Actually, she might not have, just because she didn't miss any of her own shots. Like.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, sorry. It was a mute.
Lauren Betts finished with. Has UCLA played USC yet? By the way, we had that game.
That's an excellent question.
33 points for Lauren Betts. 14 of 15 from the field. Just no answer whatsoever for Lauren.
Good,
Betts.
I guess.
None. And I assume that's Jaime Jaquez's sister.
That's what I thought as well. For a second, I was like, did they put up the wrong roster?
Yeah,
no.
right.
It's like Jaquez is still at UCLA.
It caught me off guard as well. I'm like,
they are at UCLA or UCLA is at USC February 13th. Good old 10 p.m.
That will be
Eastern time.
Big one. That will be a big one. Yes, her older brother is Jaime Jaquez.
Oh, they do play USC twice. So that's March 1st.
Okay. Those will be big games.
Yes.
Gabriela Jaquez, who is a starter for UCLA. Mm-hmm. All right, very good. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by the CIAA tournament.
That's right. Baltimore is welcoming the excitement of the Food Line CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament back to CFG Bank Arena from February 25th through March 1st. Tickets are available, and you can get them now at Ticketmaster.com. Again, go to Ticketmaster.com for your tickets to the CIAA Food Line CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament at CFG Bank Arena, February 25th through March 1st.
All right, then.
The Eagles.
How about Marlon Humphrey clapping back?
I did like Marlon yesterday.
After the Pro Bowl, maybe we can all go to Cancun. That was not bad.
I like how he was like, and he was like, I knew that it would be the Eagles. I always said the Eagles were the best team we played all year.
Didn't he say? Who was it that was it him that was reminded that he had a cousin on? It was like oh my God!
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
Somebody tweeted yesterday like, I was rooting for so and so, and then I remember my cousin plays for
plays for someone.
God, hang on a second. Oh,
I mean, he was probably tweeting a lot yesterday.
Maybe it wasn't him. It wasn't. Somebody else tweeted that. It's like I was rooting for the Commanders, and I remember my cousin plays for the Eagles or something like that. It's weird. Anyway, go ahead. What do you
I'm just trying to. All right, yeah, I guess I'm not going to find it either. The Eagles have the number 1 total defense. They also have the NFL's leading rusher, obviously, in Saquon Barkley. In the regular season, the only other instance that this happened in the Super Bowl era, that a team had the number 1 defense and the league's leading rusher, was the Dallas Cowboys in 1992. They did, of course, win the Super Bowl with Emmitt Smith and the number 1 defense. So can the Eagles do the same?
Maybe. Maybe.
Does that mean they're going to win? They're going to win.
Jeremy's feeling it.
Yeah. My favorite one, Jeff Kerr from CBS had this. The Eagles had 7 rushing touchdowns in the NFC Championship game yesterday. That is more than the Cowboys had all season.
Marlon said, let's say I play in a Mexican pro sports league. Do people still say enjoy Cancun? Like, I'm already there. You know what? That's not bad.
Yeah, that's good. The Eagles had 7 rushing touchdowns yesterday. The Cowboys had 6 rushing touchdowns all season.
This is it. He said, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
This is a good one. I'm not reading it a third time.
I'm trying to find a reason to hate on Saquon, but forgot he my cousin. That's what he...
Of course. Yeah.
Like, just casually, and I don't know if that's true or not, but like maybe their 3rd, 4th cousin, something like that. That's really funny. I'm sorry.
Saquon's coming to Baltimore.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Do your thing. I'm sorry. I was just trying to find that tweet. I was just trying to find the cousin thing.
They had 7 rushing touchdowns yesterday. The Eagles did. The Cowboys had 6 all season. 6 rushing touchdowns all year.
Yeah,
dating back to 1972.
It was diabolical running one with a white running back, by the way. It's not named Christian McCaffrey. Absolutely diabolical.
Will Shipley?
Yeah, that is like oh man, that's like Darko Milicic lighting a cigar on the bench when the Pistons win the championship.
So despite Josh Allen's best efforts, the Bills did not commit any turnovers yesterday. So teams that scored, or at least heading into, or now after yesterday, teams scoring 4 touchdowns and 0 turnovers in a playoff game since 1972, 85-6 overall. Bills' last 2 playoff losses at Arrowhead are 2 of those 6.
It's just a real bummer, man.
Yeah, I guess.
Just
it
real...
is. I'll save that one for tomorrow, I guess. Jay Daniels did become the 6th rookie quarterback to start a conference championship game. Their rookies are now, of course, 0-6 all time, though. But he named the other 5.
Well, obviously, Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco in 2008, or I guess 2009, the 2008 season.
Rookies to start a conference championship game. How about was it Mark Sanchez?
Mark Sanchez the following year, yes. 2009 season, Mark Sanchez. I believe that was that 2009 AFC Championship. I think I saw the stat. That was the last AFC Championship to not have a Mahomes or Brady in it, because it was Roethlisberger versus Mark Sanchez.
Brock Purdy
in 2022.
By the way, my computer's been telling me my system has run out of application memory a lot recently. I don't know what that means.
I guess you got the... I'm trying to think. Because I've had that before, and it's annoying. The best thing to do might be like download this like disk clear space thing. And
I don't want to do that.
I didn't want to. I was reluctant at first too, and then my laptop like kind of shut down, and I was like,
I'm not coming up with who the other ones were. I'm trying to think of there was when Joe Flacco made it to the we were doing a lot of like he's the first rookie since Sean King. Sean King was the first. So I'm friends with Sean King.
Yeah, Sean King was the first rookie.
I didn't know that he made the championship game. I just knew that I'm telling you, like that year when Joe Flacco made it, there were so many things that were coming up where like Joe Flacco first rookie, and I was like texting every time I saw one of them. I was like texting Sean King like, "Hey dude, look, they're talking about you."
1999.
I don't know why he was friends with me? I was
with with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He replaced Trent Dilfer halfway through the year due to injury, and and then took
How
the
many
Bucks
more?
to the NFC Championship. One more. 99, Flacco in 08, Sanchez 09, Purdy 22, Jane Daniels 24. The other guy was the second to do this. Joe Flacco was the third.
So it was between 99 and 2008. Phil Rivers. Who else was a rookie between those times? Eli Manning.
Not Eli.
Wasn't Ben Roethlisberger.
Ben Roethlisberger in 2004.
See, I don't I just didn't remember for. I don't remember
Who did they lose to?
Yeah,
the Patriots. Yeah.
Must have been.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
Or no, 05. That would have been the no.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. You can tell me.
All right, I'll tell you in a sec, I guess.
I wouldn't have gotten that. Well, I might have gotten it eventually, but I needed the help of
just the time frame.
Yeah, the time frame. I did. I openly acknowledge that I needed that help.
2004.
All right,
Patriots.
we good?
Yeah.
Let's get what we're gonna do now. We're gonna get tubular. That's what we're gonna do.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
Jeremy Fowler reports the Ravens are finalizing a contract extension with Todd Monken, which sounds like big news. Then you're basically like, right, that just means he didn't get a head coaching job.
Which is big news.
Which is good,
Yeah.
but if tomorrow Andy Reid announces that he's retiring and the Chiefs, you know what I mean?
It's the day or
the contract extension.
Liam Cohen, yeah.
The contract extension part of it doesn't really mean anything. It's just, is he going to be a head coach? Remember, the Gary Kubiak thing was late in the game, right? We were all convinced that Gary Kubiak was going to be back in Baltimore the following season. Then who was the coach in Denver? How did that play out?
John? No. John Fox was after? No, before.
No, he might have been before, but was he immediately before? Or? List of Broncos coaches. List of Broncos head coaches. Oh, it was
Vance. Well, Vance Joseph was after.
No, it was
John Fox. Okay.
But why was it late? We were convinced that Gary Kubiak.
Was it a health thing?
Maybe. We were definitely convinced he was coming back. All right, here we go. Denver Broncos. On January 12th, the day after Denver lost in the divisional round of the playoffs, Fox and the Broncos mutually agreed to part ways. So, yeah, it was the divisional round of the playoffs.
Okay,
so it wasn't this late. It wasn't January 27th, but it was after the point where it seemed like Gary Kubiak was safe. You're like, hey, man, they had this great offense this season, and Gary Kubiak's coming back next year. Remember, the 2014 season was really exciting. It was a very exciting season. The Ravens also lost in the divisional round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they lost on Saturday, and I'm pretty sure the Broncos game was on Sunday. And in the immediacy afterwards, we're like, well, think about how good it's going to be next year. And then all of a sudden, the Broncos move on from John Fox, and we're all like, oh no.
And then and then that was the year everyone lost every ligament in their bodies.
In 2015.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything went to hell. Yes, in 2015. But I'm just speaking specifically about
about January of that.
Yeah, you were feeling like you had Gary Kubiak back, and then one day later, that all changed. And so I assume that Todd Monken is back next year. If he was going to be the Saints coach, you would think he would have the job by now. So presumably he's not. And you presume, given his circumstances, that's he basically said, hey, I know I'm not getting any of these jobs. But you know that right until some job that you don't expect to be available comes available. And you hope that there are none of those surprises that are coming. But you just never know.
I guess, if there's any time to... that was the other stat I saw.
I think it's also signing to a contract extension. If he gets a head coaching job next year, it does not matter what his contract is.
Yes.
The extension part of it is just not relevant.
It's the Liam Cohen thing.
Yes,
correct.
Yeah,
Andy Reid is the winningest coach of both franchises in the Super Bowl this week.
Yeah, yes, that sounds exactly right.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
It was Gary Kubiak had the health. He was the one who
he was the reason.
retired with health. Yeah.
But won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So he's got that going for him. All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. Tonight, Towson, we mentioned a little bit earlier, they're on the road at Northeastern. That's on national TV, and it's a 9 o'clock tip-off.
So you got that national TV spot?
Yes.
Is there something on CBS before that?
Holy Cross, Boston University.
Of course.
So after their big win at Loyola on Saturday. It was like, got to get Holy Cross on national TV.
Taking on BU.
Yeah, it is, I guess, a local rivalry, so there's something to be said for that. But, yeah, Towson Northeastern, 9 o'clock. Or they just wanted to have
the Boston doubleheader.
All of their games are in Boston. Towson Northeastern, 9 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. Big Ten hoops tonight, Penn State, Michigan, 6:30 on Big Ten Network. Fox Sports 1 is Iowa, Ohio State at 8, and has UCLA, USC on the men's side at 10 o'clock. Video game golf at 6:30 on ESPN. Iowa State, Arizona at 10:30 on ESPN. They got to bump Iowa State, Arizona, which is a great game, to 10:30 to get the video game golf on.
Is Arizona's 2 hours back right now? So it's so it's 8:30.
8:30 local tip-off, yeah. But still, that's a good game that I think should be on. All right, I don't want to do this. Wizards, Mavericks, 8:30 on Monumental.
Talk about good games.
Yeah. NBA TV, Pistons, Cavs at 7, Clippers, Suns at 9:30. NHL Network, Kings, Red Wings at 7. TNT has Unrivaled tonight at 7:30. Netflix for WWE Raw at 8. Non-sports.
The big one would be season 29 of The Bachelor, premiering on ABC at 8 o'clock tonight. And that's really Papa's House is back. If everyone's been missing it for the last few weeks, back on CBS. Cynthia Erivo will be on Kimmel. Martha Stewart, Shailene Woodley, and Ryan Day will be on Jimmy Fallon.
Now they, you don't know, they're actually plugging Unrivaled.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It seems like an odd, right? But that's what they're...
Lisa Ann Walter and Sterling K. Brown on Seth Meyers, with Sterling K. Brown's in that.
Lisa Ann Walter's the one from
Abbott.
Abbott, right?
Yes.
She's the Italian teacher. She's great.
Yes.
She's great.
Of course she is.
Yeah.
Sterling K. Brown is in a show called Paradise that also comes out tomorrow.
They are plugging the Grammys.
Oh, they are?
Sure, Sunday night on CBS.
Paradise comes out tomorrow. It's Sterling K. Brown is like a Secret Service protector of James Marsden, who plays the president.
All right.
And James Marsden ends up dead.
Oh, man.
So Sterling K. Brown did it. At least
what was the James Marsden show where like the guy didn't? Oh, the jury duty.
Yeah,
I love that. That was great.
And then Investigation Discovery has The Fall of Diddy doing their docuseries on Diddy.
Not a thing. Not enough time. Watch Kings of Tupelo though. Whoa.
Okay. Kings of Tupelo.
Yeah, big push for Kings of Tupelo.
Starting today's.
Yep. Thanks today to Jeremy Conn. Thanks also to Trey Mancini and to Steve Lappas. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the
Can You Take Me Higher?
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow is our annual college lacrosse preview show. Patrick Stevens will be here. You're saying lacrosse. It's January 27th. Well, the games start on Saturday. And I believe Loyola, Hopkins, Maryland all playing this weekend. A lot of times that first weekend of the year is like a soft launch, but like most of the local teams, it seems like, are playing this. I don't think UMBC plays until March. It's very weird how that works out with UMBC. Like they always have the latest start of everyone in the area. They start in weeks, but a lot of local teams playing on Saturday. So yeah, all the coaches will be joining us. John Tillman at Maryland, Peter Milliman at Hopkins, Charlie Toomey from Loyola, Sean Nadlin from Towson.
Who's Towson open
Ryan Moran from UMBC is going to join us. Who does Towson open up with? That's a good question.
I got it. Hold on.
You tell me.
Let's see here.
And do they play this weekend or not? I don't know if they play this weekend.
I don't think they play. They play on Tuesday. Next Tuesday.
Right, against Hopkins. Right, correct.
Yes.
Joe Ampelo from Navy will join us. So, yeah, all the area college lacrosse coaches will be with us tomorrow. And if that's not your speed, John Proctor didn't like how much we were talking about Kansas basketball today. I'm like, you want more Chiefs coverage? Is that what you're looking for? Is that what you want?
We'll talk more Towson basketball if that's...
Yeah, well, not tomorrow, but...
Well, I'll find ways.
Okay. I thought about that might be something we do next week is kind of catch up with the area college basketball teams while everybody else is talking about the Chiefs. Man, it's what it is.
What's new with the Chiefs?
Yeah, right? Like, if you want more Chiefs, I guess we could do that. But for tomorrow, we'll do our college lacrosse preview. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, the CIAA Tournament, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Casa Sin, MSAA, Maryland Sports, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass.
Do you think Chris Jones can cry anymore at the Super Bowl national anthem? than he did for the AFC Championship.
Is there a prop bet for that?
I'm sure. I mean, there has to be, right? But I loved I loved how they showed it again.
Why do we need to pad here?
I don't know. Well, because I'm trying to give John more Chiefs coverage.
More Chiefs content because he doesn't like all the basketball talk. All right, have a great Monday evening. Go Towson. Duke sucks.